other articles. From my perspective, Adam Boyes calls me into his office. He's the CEO. Not his office, but into a meeting room because he was visiting the Florida office. And he's like, Adam, what do you think of this? Wrestling Battle Royale. Wouldn't that be hilarious? And I'm like, yeah, that'd be pretty funny. And that was the end of the conversation. I didn't realize we were making it. I thought he was asking me if that would be funny.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to a very, very special Tuesday show. And we are going to be talking all about the upcoming... In fact, we are bringing you exclusive information about Rumbleverse, the new game coming out from the studio created by Adam Keits' heart. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, I'm joined here by...
That's Dave.
I'm here with UltraDavid and TuboWare. How you guys doing?
I'm doing so well, James. I've been morbid ever since Sunday night. I mean, I guess I was morbid before that too, but I morbed hardcore.
You were morbid hard.
Yeah, I morbed big time Sunday night. And now that I have morbed, I gotta tell you, it's not that great.
Thanks, guys, for the show. That's it right there. That's all the information that we're gonna get about Rumbleverse. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, here we go.
Personally, I think that meme is just done to death, and I can't stand it anymore.
It's
At
done.
which point, I began to find it funny. Anyway,
No,
what's going on?
it actually got... That meme got killed by Jared Leto himself.
Once he was in on it, it's over. It's done.
He actually killed...
Well, you know what's
the meme.
not a joke? The fact that the re-release of that movie only made $85K.
In 1,000 theaters. It made $85.
It averaged like $83 per theater that it was in, or something like that. Incredible. Well done, memers. You did your job. You're definitely not supposed to go see it.
Dude,
you
the
nailed
best,
it. You all nailed it.
The best response that I saw on Twitter was someone saying, God, you guys are so stupid. We didn't want you guys to re-release the movie. We want you to make the TV show. That's what we wanted to see.
God,
oh,
no.
man.
Please,
All right,
no,
well,
no.
I regret bringing this up. We're going to be talking with Adam Hart, a.k.a. Keits, about Rumbleverse, a game that he has been working on for quite some time at this point. And after that, later on, we're going to be talking about Street Fighter 6. After that, we're going to have an announcement about the Tuesday show, so please stick around until the end so that we can talk with you guys about that. But let's begin by starting out with the interview. Not something we usually do, but we're just going to get in there. We're just going to ram into there right away. We're just going to directly throw the Hadoken of bats directly at it, and we're going to get involved right now.
I think they called it a bat doken.
A bat Doken.
Yeah, he screamed it. He went, Hadoken!
He sure did.
No, it was
this
very
is
good. Yeah.
Adam Keits Hart.
Hi.
Coming onto the program
Are you
here. As you
bringing?
can see
Wait,
down
what's
there at the
happening,
bottom.
James?
What's that?
What screen are we looking at right now?
You're
Good one.
People
Don't
are
worry
saying
about
the one with Adam on
I
it.
have
Trust
no
me,
idea
dude.
what's going on right now.
You need to have faith.
Dude,
It all
it's,
worked out.
it's all good. We are
All right.
here at the
There
right
we go. I see
screen.
Adam now.
Okay, to begin again. Hey, what's up? Adam Keits Hart joining us to talk about Rumbleverse tonight. We have
Yes,
a whole
hello.
interview that we'll be doing with you about things that you have not been able to talk about in public in the past until right now.
That's right. Yeah, I've been working on this game for like 3.5 or 4 years. The very first design documents that went to paper have my handwriting on them.
Dang.
Keyboard handwriting, whatever.
You hand wrote them? Okay, all right. You're not a
Yeah,
full barbarian.
but yeah, it's been a really long road to get here, and we announced the game at the Game Awards in December, and I was just like amped through the roof. Finally, going to start talking about this thing, and then we had a little delay, but now we're here, and we're kind of on the road to launch. We're definitely aiming to launch this year, so I'm really excited to talk more about it. And this is a game that I have played for over 1,000 hours, and I have a really hard time putting it down, even after all this time. I cannot get enough of it, and I want to
Game
that with all
dev
of you.
loves his own game. Who would have thunk it?
It's so fun, dude.
I mean, let me ask you this question though. I mean, look,
Sure.
obviously people know you were, you created Dive Kick, for example, right? You've been
Guilty.
making a lot of games out there. You're the main combat designer for Killer Instinct after you guys took it over.
Guilty.
How much of Rumbleverse is your baby?
Rumbleverse is the baby of a huge team. There's a lot of people have touched this thing. Everyone's touch has made it better and more unique and more interesting. So while I do consider every game that I work on and release like my baby, this is so many people's baby. So I want to make sure it's very clear that like we didn't get to where we were without a monumental effort of over 100 people. This game is definitely AAA in size, and it's the first thing I've worked on that's this big. And it's been quite a journey just to even learn to manage a team this big, honestly.
Okay.
And what's your role there on this?
I'm lead designer.
All right. Well, just for those uninitiated, tell us about Rumble. What's your pitch of Rumbleverse? You have been played over 1,000 hours.
Yes.
How would you describe the game to the people out there who want to learn all about Rumbleverse?
Sure, yeah. Rumbleverse is a 40-player, free-to-play brawler royale where you're going to launch out of a cannon into Grappital City, the home of the Rumble, where every person born into this world has one sole desire to become a champion. And anyone can become a champion. You'll see walking down the streets of Grappital City, dudes in hockey outfits fighting mailmen and all kinds of stuff, right? It's just kind of a wild, wacky world that celebrates combat sports, video games, just a host of everything everyone on the dev team loves is all kind of like, it's right here together in this big, beautiful, colorful thing that is just going to make you laugh every time you play it. It doesn't take itself seriously at all. You can take it seriously, but it's really hard not to.
I take it seriously.
It's really hard not to die laughing when you see some of the stuff that happens in this game. It's super wild.
We're going to be talking all about the origin. We're going to talk about like how you view it, and player options. We'll talk about a bunch of like informational stuff too, and also like competitive stuff, esports, maybe, etc., cosmetics. But just right at the start, I think it'd be good if we got some sort of just basics out of the way. What platforms will the game and the upcoming test be on, and when will that test happen?
Yeah, the test is this Saturday. It's going to be from noon Central till noon Central the next day, so 24 hours. You'll be able to play that on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and Epic Game Store on PC. So all 5 platforms, full crossplay. You'll be able to beat up everybody on all the platforms.
And how long does that last?
June 11th, just to confirm. June 11th.
Yeah, June 11th this Saturday, and that's 24 hours. And I'm going to try to stay awake the whole time, but I'm very old now, so wish me luck.
Old man. It ain't happening.
Saturday. So
It's going to be a tough one. I'm going to try, though. I really want to.
Now,
I want to watch all the streams.
Is this different than the previous? Because the previous beta that was out there, is this a public beta that's coming up this, or was it also?
Yeah, there's no requirements to get in this. Anyone who wants to play can download it and play. The last one we did was a 2-hour stress test. The whole point of that one was like, hey, clog the servers. Let's see if we can break them and learn something so we can fix them. This one is a bit longer because the purpose of this one is actually a multi-platform test. What we're looking at here is the multi-platform matchmaking and a bunch of the other things that are going on under the hood that are going to be extremely unexciting to people, but it gives you a long period to play the game while we get the data that we need to make sure that launch can be as smooth as possible.
Welcome to game dev, right?
Yes.
Everything seems exciting for everybody else, but you're tweaking the pixels.
It's really important stuff, though.
Is it going to be solo play? Will there be duos?
Where are the duos?
Will there be trios? Will there be quadros? What about quintos? Huh?
Okay, you're getting out of control, Davey. This test will be solos only again. There is a duo mode coming. I can confirm that. I can't tell you when it's coming, but it is coming. Beyond that, TBD. We'll see what the future holds. We're definitely listening to the fans, and if you guys end up playing the duo mode when we launch that, and you love it, and you want more, we'll figure it out for you.
You mentioned before that it is free to play. Are there going to be microtransactions involved?
Yeah, we've got a battle pass, so you can earn cosmetics. There's a free track on that, and there's also a paid track on that. There's a rotating store, so you'll be able to go into the shop every few days and see all kinds of outfits and emotes. One of the coolest things about the game is that like you can buy a head to toe look, like an outfit that goes all the way from head to toe. But what you're buying is actually like 5-6 different pieces. And you could wear them all together if you want, but you can also mix and match them with anything else you've purchased as well. And there's quite a lot of layering the game allows you to do. So instead of saying like, oh, I have a head slot and I've chosen to wear glasses and that's all I get, you could be like, okay, I'm putting on the beard, I'm putting on the nose ring, I'm putting on makeup, I'm putting on the glasses, I got hair on top of that, I got, unicorn horns sticking out of that, all kinds of stuff.
You can make yourself a horse head, a chicken head, pig head, like, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, we really want you to be able to individualize yourself. And it's not just, for the sake of individualizing yourself, but it really is a big part of the game. When you're in there and you're playing a battle royale that has no guns, we had to rethink everything about battle royale. We couldn't really learn a lot of lessons from other games. When we started building this, you take out guns, that's such a fundamental change. You're very close quarters with people,
fun is
right?
a key in that.
Yeah, sure. But you're very close quarters with people, right? You're not getting hit by a person who's this big on the screen and you can't even tell what they're wearing. You're getting hit by an elbow drop and then you look at that person immediately and you're like, okay, that asshole wearing, with this body type wearing the blue shirt, he's on my list. And then you can kind of form a relationship with this person throughout the match. You can watch that person and be like, okay, the guy in that body type with the blue shirt, oh, I saw him do uppercut. Now I remember he has the uppercut move. I'm going to be watching out for that, and I'm going to mess him up when he plays his cards wrong, right? There's a lot. It's very important to recognize people. And if you jumped into a match and a lot of people looked kind of the same, that would get very difficult. So it's very important to us to make sure you could look your own way.
You said there's going to be a rotating store.
Yes.
I'm assuming that most of that will be full outfits that you can buy, and then you can piecemeal together whatever you want.
It's kind of a mix. Yeah. Yeah, there's
Are we going to be able to buy individual pieces? And I got to follow up.
There are some things like that. There will be. I don't want to go into it too much, but there will be some full outfits you can buy head to toe, and there will be some individual pieces you can get. And sometimes they'll come with like a variety of colors or textures and stuff like that. So you'll have to see when we hit launch, but I think you'll be impressed. The variety is pretty up there.
Okay, well then, I know you said there is a free track for the Battle Pass.
Correct.
And a paid version.
Yeah.
Be honest, how much cooler is the stuff on the paid version than the free version?
Much cooler. Please spend some money if you like our game. We're not pay to win. If you having fun with it, we would really appreciate it if you bought the Battle Pass. That'd be awesome. I
mean, honestly, is the aesthetics kind of like the main avenue for, obviously if it's free to play, no one's going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe you're charging money for aesthetics. Like, this is the model of free to play. Is that kind of the path that you're hoping to get people, to spend money? Like, oh God, I really want the pipe that blows bubbles, kind of thing. Yeah. No, absolutely. We think our accessory system and everything is incredibly fun. And once you have bought a lot of stuff, you could sit in there for hours just making all kinds of cool looks, which I am guilty of having done. So I do think people will really like it. And that is kind of the main way we want you to buy in and enjoy yourself. There will be other things in the future we'll discuss someday. They're all kind of things we're thinking about. But in the short term, yeah, please spend a little money if you like the game. We would really appreciate it. It'll help us to keep going.
As far as the cosmetics go, while we're talking about this, did you have any specific influences when it came to creating such sort of diverse character options? I mean, there's a tremendous amount of options, even in the betas. I assume that there's going to be more later, but it wasn't just about clothes. It was about body shape and body size. It was about skin color, and it was all over the place.
It's like really tempting at the start of this project to be like, okay, we'll just, we'll make one or two body types and we'll give you the sliders and, let you tweak it the way you want it. But the reality of that ended up being that, like I told you before, the gameplay we were looking to get where you really kind of formed a relationship with other players, they just weren't different enough. You like really, really up close to somebody, maybe you could tell that somebody maxed out their arm slider or whatever, right? But we needed really weird and unique shapes to the characters because you are sometimes looking at these people from the top of a skyscraper. And it's actually remarkable what the team has accomplished because you can tell who that is from up there and you could tell what they're doing too, which is really cool. So yeah, the 6 body types we went with, they're a little weird for sure. I love them all, but they're definitely there for a purpose. Like the real reason behind why we went that way, which made everything we wanted to do with animation and with accessories much harder as a result. But It's worth it because not only do they kind of warp the accessories you put on them, and any accessory can work on any body type. There's no restrictions at all. Like the some of the animal heads look ridiculously larger on some characters than others too, which can really change the way that they feel. But yeah, it's just really important that you be able to recognize each individual in your match, and to get that goal, we had to go with really distinct shapes for the characters. So even when the art team was exploring that, it was like pages of shapes next to each other and trying to pick the shapes that could kind of become the body types. There were pages and pages of exploration trying to find the exact
what shape
six.
Was the fat person? Because I love it. I love that you guys have a fat guy in there. I appreciate it.
Probably a circle, honestly.
I mean, he's a round boy. Let me tell you, that body shape is round.
Yeah. But they're all cosmetic. There's no gameplay differences for the body types. So
I was just about to ask that, because if you have a skinny guy and a big fat guy, right? That doesn't change their speed, doesn't change their hit boxes or hurt boxes or their reach or their anything.
Exactly. No changes at all. It's completely cosmetic. So we really want you to either make a character that you're kind of, personifying, or make yourself. A lot of the players on the dev team have personas that they play as. Like there's one guy who plays as, I can't even say it because I'll spoil something.
Well,
people have personas. They dress up in very specific ways, and they give names to their characters, and we'll kind of like role play them and stuff. And it's very fun.
I look forward to doing that. In fact, I already did that during the beta. I'll be honest. I came up with complete backstories for my little dudes that I made. That part is something that I look forward to.
Yes.
You know, I would do. That's a very me thing to do.
100%. Yeah.
I mean, like,
it's fun.
Very, very important question though is how long will it be before we get the Ryu and Chun-Li skins for Rumbleverse?
Yeah, I'm trying to slam Rick Sanchez off the top of the Grappital City building. Okay, I need it.
I think everyone's excited about the idea of IP crossovers and anything these days. But
you and Chen are in everything.
we're really focused on just launching the game and introducing you to Grappital City and the universe we've built, and we'll see where it goes from there.
What about the emotes? That was a big part of this, continuing to talk about cosmetics and personalizing things. Big part of the options in the game. Oh, did you? I was going to ask you to do the super thumb. Can you do it?
I just did it.
Wow, fantastic! That is in fact one of them. Yeah, the actual glitched out thumb thing. But yeah, talk to me about the purpose behind the emotes and sort of some of your design philosophy in picking them.
In Third Strike, you can taunt and you get something.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can do that in this too. When you emote near other players and it's a dangerous spot to have emoted, you actually build Superstar Meter.
Let's go.
The longer the commitment of the emote is, the longer you have to be in it before you can bail out, the more you get if you can finish the emote as well. So there's some gameplay there.
Even the because there's a play dead one too, right?
That one is the only one that doesn't build Superstar Meter. It has a gameplay purpose, so we're actually giving you that one pretty early in the fan mail, I think.
I was going to say,
you'll be getting that one for free. Don't worry about it. But yeah, the emotes are a part of the game in that way. It's a very common thing to see lots of bravado in wrestling, and we wanted to make sure that emoting, since you could be so close to people, they're not going to shoot you or anything. There's no guns. You could be close enough to somebody to wave at them and tempt them to drop kick you, or see if they wave back, and maybe you could form an unholy alliance. And through experimenting with our system, we found we could make emotes that let you walk while you emote, or do the worm down the street and control your character.
The worm. I did it in the beta.
We have an emote that points forward. And then we have another version of that called Point Lock On that locks on to somebody that you point at, and you'll automatically keep pointing at them as you rotate around them. It's just so goofy and it's so fun. I love it so much.
So let me ask, what's the frame data on emote canceling? Once you start the emote, how many frames are you committed to it before you can cancel?
It depends on the emote, and the earlier you can bail out of something, the less benefit you're going to get from it.
So in other words, I'm writing that FAQ, right? I'm writing the FAQ and we have the graph of all the emotes of the frames that it takes.
Which ones
can get the most out of, retirement to write the Rumbleverse guide.
There are only a couple people in office, but there are a couple people in office who are trying to work emotes into some of their wall splat combos. It's possible in some situations.
All right. Let's go back to talking about some of the origin here.
Read my mind, David.
You talked about how you describe Rumbleverse, but I'm curious about where the where the idea for kind of like a wrestling-inspired melee battle royale came.
The story goes that a lot of the leadership at the studio were out at a bar, and Chelsea Blasko was like, let's do a wrestling VR, and that was kind of the origin of the idea. But from I'll tell this from my perspective, because this has been told from that perspective in a few other articles. From my perspective, Adam Boyes calls me into his office. He's the CEO. Not his office, but into a meeting room, because he was visiting the Florida office, and he's like, Adam, what do you think of this wrestling battle royale? Wouldn't that be hilarious? And I'm like, yeah, that'd be pretty funny. And that was the end of the conversation. I didn't realize we were making it. I thought he was asking me if that would be funny. And of course, there are a lot of technical challenges with doing a Melee 40-player game that were scary at the time and are still pretty scary now.
I like to think you're just walking out of the meeting room. Oh, that Adam Boyes, you'll crack up.
And then a
battle
couple weeks
royale.
yeah,
Right.
A couple weeks later, he's like, "Yeah, we pitched it. We're doing it." And I was like,
like that's how.
Yeah,
I feel like that's how like a lot of Dive Kick was just like, what if I made a fighting game with all dive kicks, and then boom, right? So
and then my buddies were like, let's do it. This is on a bigger scale. This is more of a millions of dollars involved kind of. Let's do it. But from that point on, we had to figure out exactly what the game was, and in discussing with leadership and some of the other designers and stuff, what it is that a wrestling battle royale would be, the fantasy moment of suplexing someone off a skyscraper or elbow dropping from a skyscraper kept coming up. That like seems to be the thing everyone was really stuck on. Like that was the cool thing in everyone's brain. So from there, it kind of evolved pretty naturally. It was like, how do we support that fantasy? We can't make a game like WCW NWO Revenge where the characters like walk 1 centimeter per minute. And if you want to get to the top of a building, you got to be able to platform and climb. And it became very clear to us very quickly that this was a platformer first and foremost. Yeah. And one of our guiding directives when building the initial prototypes, other than figure out how to make 40-player Melee Online work, was this game should be fun to platform around in by yourself. Yeah. If there's no other people playing, you should be having a blast just jumping around this place, because the mechanics should feel good, and it should feel as good as any platformer you've played. And that's been a guiding light for us since the beginning, for sure.
Definitely, you can tell as soon as you pick up the game that you intended it to be that way.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of 3D platformers myself, so it's a dream for me to get to work on something like this. That has a little bit of the fighting background. Also,
Dave, tell us how you feel about 3D platformers.
Well, this is definitely a different situation here, because so for one thing, I just want to say, like, as soon as you talked about pile driving people off of skyscrapers, the first game that comes to my mind is Spider-Man 2. Right, you were able to do stuff like that, and I remember watching some of Tubo's stream that I even saw some people in the chat describing it was almost like the movement was like Spider-Man without the swinging, but that's how fluid it was. And I definitely saw Tubo doing like some crazy jukes on people, like jumping around this corner, but then climbing over and sliding on this wall and jumping off and losing people and stuff. And yeah, it looks like, obviously the mobility is definitely one of the key factors, it seems like.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'll admit, I'm a little bit obsessed with throwing video game characters off of things. You remember the old Indiana Jones game? It was like a kind of Tomb Raider knockoff. I killed every single enemy in that game by throwing them off a ledge with my bare hands. It was like a personal challenge. They're all going off of a ledge. I don't know. There's something about it that never gets old to me. So
Indiana Jones is just, no ticket, throws this guy off.
Yeah, like shooting a gun at me and dodging the bullets. I grab him by the shirt and throw him off the cliff.
Oh my god.
So did you, we talked about Spider-Man there. Were there other inspirations for how things like the movement would work, or how things like the sort of the combat would work?
Yeah, I think another inspiration for the movement especially is not a specific game or anything, but we want you to be constantly engaged. Like moving from point A to point B is never walk in a straight line, turn your brain off. There are tons of decisions to make all the time, and there's lots of inputs to make all the time as well. So you're constantly executing and deciding. So it's like, point A to point B, I could go around this building while dashing and spending a bunch of stamina, or I could climb this wall and go over the building, or I could do like a tricky jump and shorten my climb, save some time, but spend a little more stamina and get over the top of this. You have a lot of decisions to make. And some of those decisions will put you in a spot that's a little trickier to execute, and some of them won't. And you'll feel really cool when you nail it. And you're really moving because you're hitting all those inputs just like right at the right moments. It feels like you're really in there. And that was really important to us as well.
Yeah, I think that's something that I'd like to talk about. I mean, well, this is you mentioned a couple ways in which players can make strategic choices, even just moving around. But in your mind, like, what are some of the other types of strategic choices that players can make in this game?
Oh, there's so many. It's endless. It is a battle royale, and when you really break down what a battle royale is, it's a multiplayer roguelike. You drop in kind of fresh every time. You don't get to keep anything you found after you die, and you gear up or perk up or whatever it is in that game you're playing, and you try to be the last person alive. So there's a lot of layers of strategy in all of that. You could go around and find loot early in the game, but you can do that in so many different ways. You could go to a loot hotspot or a point of interest, top of one of the most dangerous buildings or towers. Tons of amazing loot up there. You could get all the loot you need for the rest of the game right there in that moment, if you survive the onslaught of other players who also want it. Or you could go to the edge of the ring and play around on the ground, and there's lots of boxes there too. They're lower quality. You'll have to move quite a bit farther across the map as you loot, but maybe you will be bothered less. So you're already making strategic decisions even at the beginning. If you're the type of player who wants to avoid combat until the very end, you're going to have like ideal pockets full of healing and weapons and the special moves that suit you the most. You're going to be able to get your stats full exactly the way you want them. But if you're the type of player who's more aggressive, we have a different path to power for you. So as you deal damage, you actually earn perks, which are, kind of like in roguelikes, a permanent passive upgrade that you get. It comes from a grab bag. It's totally random what you get, but they are powerful. And you could show up to the final ring having been super aggressive with terrible stats and terrible pockets, but 8 perks and you're a terrifying person. Or you could avoid everybody, show up to the final ring with ideal stats and ideal inventory. Both of those players are going to have a really good shot to win. And then everything in between works too. So you can mix and match all of that stuff however you want and find your style.
I just want to
kill everyone and have everything at the end.
That sounds like a TuboWare round, but not everybody can do that.
I mean, the thing is, I wanted to ask, because, obviously without guns and without the long range shooting and stuff, I was watching Tubo stream, and most of the time I was watching him play, he was running away from everybody.
Oh yeah, he's a coward,
He was running and eating chicken like the entire time. So like, how do you prevent people from playing that? Obviously
that's actually James, that's a great question. That's actually a really good thing about the game. You're in a fighting game, you're in a shoebox diorama. Yeah. You're trapped in there with somebody, and one of you will die, right? It's a really severe situation. And what we found on the development team, we got like 40 players on the development team now who are so good at this game. They genuinely terrify me. They are so good at this game.
Right.
Almost none of those players come from a fighting game background. How did they get there? And you start asking them like why they were able to kind of get over the hump of some of these combat concepts, and it's because they could leave. They weren't trapped in a shoebox diorama. They could test the waters. If it went wrong, they could walk away, eat some chicken, get their health back up, and come back for a cheap shot. There's a lot of feel-good moments in there, and you don't even realize it, but you're learning all the little nuances as you play, because that's just natural. The more you do something, the better you get at it. So the important part is just to give people
right now.
Yeah, I know.
Give people the way that they want. Like, some people are going to be ferocious. We have people at the studio who, if they see you at the beginning of the match, you're in a one-on-one fight to the death with them, whether you like it or not. They will chase you to the ends of the earth. Unless you can lose them, they're coming, right? But if you can break away and get behind a wall and make sure that they don't see where you went, they'll find another target. They're bloodthirsty. It's not you they're really after. It's just really important to support the ability to play like you want. What we found really early on, before we had 40 top players, was the people rising to the top of the crust kind of with the development team in terms of consistency of winning, were people who came from platforming games. We had a guy who was a Spyro speedrunner. Absolutely untouchable movement, just really hard to get away from, really hard to catch. And he would say things like, "Oh, I'm not good at the combat," and then win 6 games in a row. And it's like, shut up, dude. You're the best. You figured out the combat just fine. And the combat's not complicated, right? It's a very, very simple game. If you compare it to any fighting game you've ever played, it's remarkably simple. But the complexity comes not from execution or from those kinds of things. It comes from how overloading it can be to have to keep track of more than one person and more than one person's moveset and shifting environments and all the other variables of what's going to come out of their pocket and all the situational awareness that it takes to be really good at this game. Learning the map even is just like a huge deal in this game.
Well, before we get into the combat and slip into there,
Sure.
I just wanted to add that even if you are really good at running away, you can't do it forever because the ring does shrink over time.
It does. It does shrink.
And pretty quickly. So eventually you do have to fight.
You
And
only
also,
have
you're
to beat
talking
one
about-
person, the last person alive than you. You only have to beat one person, technically.
That's it.
Yeah.
But you're talking about traversing the map.
Yeah.
In BRs, generally there's hot spots where there's good loot and bad loot, like you were talking about earlier.
Oh yeah.
Does the landing spot ever change in Rumbleverse, or is it always going to be the same circle?
That's a good question too.
How big is the city? Is what I'm saying basically.
I think I did the math, and the city's like 64 New Donk cities, which is a fun number for that to come up to.
That's what you're using as a measurement. New Donk City.
It's pretty big.
I like it. I like it.
The interesting thing is that instead of giving you the whole island to play on at the beginning of each match, we actually give you a smaller section of it. It's about a fifth of it ish.
Okay.
Is how it will start. And there's 40 people. There's no guns. So what we really want is for the city to feel alive in the way that if you get on a building at the beginning of the match and you spin your camera around, you're going to see stuff happening in like every direction. There's going to be a little fight over here, somebody looting over there, right? We don't want you to be so separated that you can never see each other, because seeing somebody in this game is not a threat. Just because they see you doesn't mean it's like, bye, 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 you're dead.
Yeah.
Seeing somebody, it doesn't mean anything. You could completely ignore that event. You could wave at them and go about your business. So the goal was to get like 2 people per city block-ish on the starting ring. Okay. But that doesn't even come out that way, because what'll happen is like 8 of the 40 people will all go to one of the hot spots.
Right.
And
I'm going to the top of the graphical building.
there's room for you to get away from folks if that's what you want. But yeah, it's also really important to us because the game is so much about improvisation that you can't run the same route every time. The ring is going to be in a different spot on the island every time. You're not going to be able to go to your favorite spot every time. You have to run a new route.
5 different maps in one, essentially, based on if you land in 1/5 of the city. You're gonna have a different experience every time. That's pretty dope.
Yeah, it's more than that, because that ring could be in the middle of 2 of the sections you just defined, and now it feels totally different, and the routes you might like to run will totally change. Yeah, so I find myself having a dozen favorite starting spots, and sometimes 2 or 3 of those starting spots are in the ring, and then I'll just kind of see where other people are launching and make a decision.
So you kind of brought up this a little bit, talking about how the people at, your dev studio and everything have just gotten better and better at the game. And so this is kind of actually a question that I was actually going to ask later, but since you kind of brought it up, and this is kind of like a really serious question here, because obviously depending on how you want the game to be constructed, but my only experience with Battle Royale is with Tetris 99, right? And literally there are people out there who have never won in Tetris 99 ever, because the game is so extremely like skill based here. Yeah. Now, obviously there's a lot of room to grow in skill, and there's no wrong or right answer to this, but where is the kind of area that you're trying to plant it in? Are you trying to design a game where literally the best player will win every single time, or are you trying to
my cat win a game?
Or are you trying to create a game? Honestly, I mean, this is just a very interesting dev question. Like, how do you want to skew the game so that beginners?
Totally. It's a game that is very chaotic, and part of the skill of being consistent in it is managing that chaos. But you will not be successful 100% of the time. You will absolutely not. It's just not going to happen. And the important thing about it for us is that it's very approachable. Like, you should be in there having fun. You should understand what's going on lightning fast. And we've seen really good success with that in all of our play tests. But that also, your time invested, it feels very rewarding. You can feel yourself getting better. It's really easy to identify what you could do differently next time. And those are really, really key things we focused on with making sure the game is like very legible and readable, and you know why you died, and you know what you might be able to change. And you do see it with new players really fast. Like it's usually only 3 or 4 games before they go, blocking's pretty good, huh?
Yeah, I should do that.
And you go, yeah, it is. It's really good. You should definitely do that. So yeah, it's a chaotic game. I think you could take it seriously if you want. You could also play it very casually. It's a blast either way. A lot of people in the studio play it casually. A lot of people in the studio play it seriously. We can all meet and have a great time together in this thing.
You talked a little bit about people being fighting game players versus people not being fighting game players. Obviously, you have a background as not just a fighting game dev in the past with Killer Instinct, but tournament player, organizer. You've been in the scene for a long time.
Top 8 Evo finisher. Hello.
That's true. That's absolutely right. How does your background with fighting games influence how you've created / designed Rumbleverse?
Good question. I kind of got, for lack of a better word, I got it out of my system doing KI, right? Like the dream of every wannabe game dev fighting game person is, I'm going to make a hardcore fighting game. It's going to be so sick. Look at all these mechanics, right? And KI was so fun to make and to watch grow. And we were able to put a lot of approachability and accessibility in it as well, which I'm very fond of. I'm the dive kick guy, right? I made the simplest fighting game there is. So it was really cool for me to be able to hit both ends of the spectrum. I made something that was really reduced and simple, and I got to work on something that was pretty complex and intricate. And for me, it was like the next step is, let's do something different. Let's take the things I really love about fighting games and do something else with it. It doesn't have to be a fighting game anymore. And I look at the fighting game space and I think to myself, it's not changing or evolving very much. There's not that many games that are really different that you could call fighting game or fighting game adjacent. And there are some that try, and they have cool ideas in them. But I always wanted to kind of dip my toes into that. And when the leadership team and Adam Boys brought this wrestling battle royale idea, we had a good laugh about it, and then we started digging into it, and I was just like, this is a really cool opportunity to do something that is got the things I love about fighting games in it, but also kind of throws most of it out and starts totally fresh. And maybe this can appeal to a huge audience. Maybe that'd be awesome. That'd be so cool if a lot of people who don't have a fighting game background can kind of scratch that itch through this and maybe learn more about why it's cool to read somebody else's mind in this setting. And it is very cool. You know that feeling when you deeply outsmart someone?
Every day,
Yes.
yeah.
Rumbleverse lets you outsmart 2 or more people at once. And that feeling for me is untouchable in a one-on-one fighting game. I have not felt anything nearly as good as that in a one-on-one fighting game.
Yeah, when you and I play fighting games, those are the moments that we both comment on the most. Like when one of us is just a genius and reads the other one perfectly.
Yeah.
They,
We're like, oh, you knew.
yeah, for sure. But I mean, just briefly, maybe we'll get into more detail. But briefly, what is the combat like?
Yes.
We've been talking about it as fighting game-ish, right?
Yeah.
But
It's absolutely.
So
Go ahead,
even
James.
bearing it down further of what David's saying, what are the controls?
I'm not doing that. Come on.
No,
There's a control cheat sheet on the screen when you play the game, so you'll be all right.
I mean, honestly, what kind of moves do you have, and what are your options?
Absolutely.
Basically,
It was important to us that you start the game with a basic moveset. This is a moveset you always have no matter what. You don't have to pick up anything to use it. You are able to defend yourself and get a KO from the beginning. These moves aren't devastating or anything like that. They're not going to be your flashiest, hardest hitting things, but they're really important. And the game is really, the theme of the game is big commitments. So you'll find when you do a big long jump off of a roof, you don't have a lot of air control. You don't have a jetpack to correct your jump or a double jump or anything like that. And it's that way in the combat too. So what you're going to find is the attacks are big attacks that kind of come out a little bit slower and linger quite a bit longer. So you really have to make those big commitments, but you also have a dodging system that allows you to bail out of these moves early. So not every move can do this, but a lot of moves can. So I could, do a chop on Brock and he could block it. and then I do the next attack on Brock, and he blocks that, and then I can just dodge cancel and kind of get out of the way instead of staying in his face. Or maybe I hit Brock with something big, and then Davy's flying in from off screen, and I have the presence of mind to see that coming. So I can bail out of the recovery of that move, and Davy will whiff, and then I can punish him. Or he dodge cancels that, So a lot of the game is about managing your stamina, blocking the strikes, dodging the vicious attacks, getting those punishes in, having a lot of presence of mind about what's around you, and making sure you don't get stamina broken, which is what happens when you're empty on stamina and somebody hits you, because then you get dizzied and they will hit you hard for that.
Before we get too deep into that, you mentioned vicious attacks.
Yes.
And we also have not talked about special attacks yet either. So could you maybe tell us about the special attacks, how that works?
Do the basics a little better, huh?
People in the chat are wondering how you get different moves and stuff.
So
we talk about that and the attack hierarchy. We definitely need to talk about that.
The first one, right, is where you just beat up Jeremy all day, right? The vicious attacks, right? No, just kidding.
No.
How dare you?
Boo.
Sorry.
You start. So your basic move set includes some basic strikes. You can do like a little 3-hit combo. You can do an elbow drop. That elbow drop is going to amplify its damage and blast radius the higher up you do it from. But if you miss, you're going to lose a lot of stamina. So be careful with that. You have a dashing variety of that. A dashing attack. That's a drop kick. That's kind of like a dragon punch almost in your basic toolkit. It's a very high priority move. I'll talk about priority later. We've made a lot of improvements on how to read priority as well in the new build. So when we talk about what's new in the new beta for people who played the last one, I'll go over that. So you have those. You have the ability to block. Block also, if you hold it, regenerates your stamina really fast. So you might even want to use that to get a breather. But then if you want to break somebody's guard, you're going to press the vicious attack button, which is going to be like triangle or Y. And that creates like a big red flash. So it's a big warning to everybody. You can sometimes react to some of these, but you shouldn't expect to. You should try to anticipate and dodge. But these moves are even bigger commitments. You can almost never dodge cancel them on like whiff or block. You can't bail out. But they're really important for grabbing people out of the air or who are climbing. You can do a dashing variety of your basic vicious attack that lets you aim somebody with an Irish whip. So you can throw them at a wall for a wall splat combo, throw them off a roof to give yourself some breathing room. All kinds of stuff like that. You can once you're knocked down, you have a variety of get up options. So you can do kind of a wake up DP equivalent, which would be a spinning back fist. You get up and you do this big spin that clears the area. It's punishable if somebody blocks it. You could get up and block to regain a burst of stamina. You can dodge roll a bunch of times as you wake up. And instead of having like 1 or 2 get up timings, you can get up any time from like when your head tilts up to like 3 or 4 seconds later. So you can really mess with people and make it really hard for them to pursue you when you're down. But if you stay on the ground too long, they may hit you with a ground attack that can kind of make a crater, a little OTG action. For lack of a better word, we're calling them ground attacks. So it's a little more clear for a wider audience. But certain attacks will hit you on the ground. If they look like they're going to hit you on the ground, they will. Right? You can't expect to walk up to somebody who's laying on their back and do a chop that's aimed at a chest and have it hit somebody who's laying on their back. So it kind of visually makes sense as well, which is great. Those are the basic moves you have. Plenty to compete with. You got your dodge, of course, like I was talking about earlier. You can do that on the air and the ground as well. But you're also going to want to look for weapons. There's weapons all over the city. You can find them in the crates. You can find steel chairs, baseball bats. You can find weapons in the environment. You can rip mailboxes out of the ground, stop signs, trash cans, all kinds of stuff. Those weapons hit pretty hard. You can also throw them as projectiles, and they have a higher priority than most moves. So when I talk priority later, those are really good for making people stop pressing buttons. Weapons are awesome. And then the next thing you're going to look for is skill books. And the skill books, you read them, your Rumbler gets inspired, and you get to learn the special move in the book. And those come in 3 rarities. You can find them in common, rare, or epic. And the epic ones are usually a little flashier or knock people back more, do a little more damage.
Common, and which ones?
They're colored. So it's like green, blue, and then purple.
Okay.
And the books are different sizes too. So they stand out quite a lot. And there's a huge variety of skill books to find. You can find, basic strike type skill books that have high displacement. Like we have one called the Cosmo Shot. That's soccer kicks somebody in the air. You jump up after them and you do a flip and kick them back to the ground. And it's great for launching people super far, wall bouncing them.
That one's called the Wrecked Shot.
That's the rare version of it. That's the medium version of it.
Okay.
The wrecked shot.
You can find
shot,
vicious attacks as well in your special moves. So if you want to get a better vicious attack, you could find like a choke slam. Choke slam is really interesting because it does a lot of stamina damage, so it may help you break somebody's stamina more often. You could build a strategy around that. And there are even traversal skill books to find. So you can find a skill book called Rocket Jump that lets you basically turn your feet into a rocket and shoot into the air. And that's like a high jump from the ground, but you can use every special move in the air too. So you could jump, rocket jump, rocket jump, rocket jump, and get to the top of a building before anyone else who doesn't have that could chase you. And then you can either get away or it uses your stamina. So
right. Okay.
Everything runs on a stamina system in this game. Everything you do is just going to take away from your yellow stamina bar. And if you run out, you just hold block to get it back faster and hope nobody hits you while it's empty, because then you will be very sad.
Well, someone in the chat asked, can you smack someone out of reading a book?
Absolutely, yeah. Any item in your hand is not safe. It can be knocked out of your hand into the floor. If you could be in the middle of eating a healing item, and if somebody drop kicks you, that healing item is now on the floor.
What are the frames starting eating till ending eating where they can't, after a certain frame, where they can't knock it out of your hand?
You'd be surprised to learn this isn't really a frame data heavy game.
Listen, I want to know the frames, Adam, okay?
So,
I will data mine your shit. I'm taking all the frames.
Like,
you do that. You make the wiki, and I'll be over here saying
I will not do that. That's way too much work.
I even saw, Tubo was saying on his stream that, if you're carrying a chicken, like you can put the chicken on the ground and then jump up and like bait someone to try to eat the chicken.
Totally chicken trap. That's classic. That's classic
chicken
stuff for sure.
Trap.
Yeah, no, if you have enough healing. Oh yeah. This is classic dev team stuff. You got an extra chicken. This is one of the most enticing items in the game. Everyone needs healing. You just place that bad boy on the ground, climb the building, and just wait. Somebody's gonna come get it. And you walk a little bit slower when you're picking up items and eating items, so they're probably not going to go that fast either. And then you're also
this is like Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Bird feed.
The other thing you can do too is you can look at the map. You can go look at the map and be like, okay, here's where the ring is kind of shrinking towards. My pockets are already full. I found some extra chicken. I'm going to put this chicken in the bushes. Nobody knows it's there but me.
Bush chicken.
That's bush chicken. And then if nobody else finds it, which they usually don't, and you need it, and it's still part of the ring or it's close enough to the ring, you could go over there, grab your bush chicken, and have a little snack. There's so many strategies you can come up with, man.
The ring, real quick. What is the ring like in this game? I mean, obviously, I know, but for the people, how does the ring work? Because in other BRs, you take damage when you're outside of the ring, right? Or inside, however you want to look at it.
Yeah,
how does it work in this game?
We felt it fit the theme better to try like a referee countdown. So you go outside the ring and the ref will be like 10, 9, and you get to 0, you're disqualified. You're just out straight up. Doesn't matter how much health you have. Doesn't matter what's in your pockets. You're toast. Doesn't matter if you have superstar meter. You're done. But if you get back in the ring every 10 or 12 seconds, you get 1 second back.
Ooh,
so you're really encouraged to kind of go outside the ring on purpose. You see like, there's a gold crate out there. That's only going to take me 4 or 5 seconds to get. Oh, there's a squatch chicken over there outside the ring. They're lit up. They're serving a free chicken right now. I could make that. That'll take me 6 seconds. I'll have 4 left. Yeah, so you can do that, and then you'll earn that time back, and it'll be fine until somebody calls you out on it. And like it's a very hidden information game, but they can see the number above your head. So if I see Brock outside the ring with a 4 over his head, and I know I have 10, I'll just go fight him out there. And as long as I can keep him out there for 4 seconds, he'll be disqualified. I'll get credit for it, and I can go back in the ring. But I think your time management becomes much more important towards the end of a match when the ring is getting really small, because a lot of people are not going for damage. They're going for displacement. They're not going to build up their arm stat. They're going to grab moves like giant swing or super kick, and they just want to launch you outside the ring over and over again because they want the timer to get you. And that can be a scary play style if you're not ready for it.
You talked about the skill books. Is there anything else that players can gather?
Yeah, the stats is another thing to talk about. You have your arms and your core and your legs, of course. You find these protein powder pods, and you can drink them. You can have up to 10 stats total. So you could do 10 arms, 0 core, 0 legs, or you could do 5 arms, 3 core, 2 legs. You can mix and match them however you want. The arm stat is going to give you permanent damage boost. The core stat's going to give you permanent health boost. And I mean actually more health. You start with 1,000 health. If you go 10 core, you can get like 2,225 health.
Wow.
It's a huge difference.
Wait a minute. That doesn't add up.
I'll get to that in a second.
100 per. Okay, all right.
Yeah. There are bonuses. And then the leg stat gives you more stamina. So if you are really aggressive and you like to press special attacks and dodge cancel them a lot, which costs a lot of stamina, you're going to want to build into stamina. Or even if you just like to run away or chase people, being able to dash a lot. Stamina is really good.
Bad idea. Don't listen to him.
Yeah. I lost my train of thought because Brock was
there was legs were for stamina, core was for life. What are arms for?
Yeah, arms is for damage. Right? You get yeah. So you're getting like a 10% increase per level until you get to 5 in one stat. So if you get to 5 arms, you get like 20%. And then you go back to 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. And then if you get to 10 arms, you get like 25%. So there are a couple levels there where if you really invest, you get a bonus. So you'll find a lot of players like to do like a 5-3-2 kind of build so that they can get that bonus in one stat, or they'll do like a 0-5-5 type of build so they can get that bonus in 2 stats. But it's still a lot of players will do irregular things, with like a 3-3-4. It's a little more even. It just really depends on your play style. I recommend you try out a lot of different special moves and play styles and all that, and find your favorite combinations, because you will find you don't play like the other players play.
I just want to ask, how hard is it to balance that? Like, did you find out like 10 arms was too strong and so you had to tweak that a little bit and such?
It is strong, but they die in one super move usually, so I'm not worried about it. Balance is a weird thing. You know how I feel about balance is a weird thing. It's more about, risk reward and harmony in play styles, and everyone being able to feel represented and all that stuff.
Well, don't bypass that. I mean, we've talked about it on the show before, but in this interview we haven't. What's your philosophy on balance?
Yeah, balance is not like, are all the options equal or are all the options viable, right? It doesn't matter if, turtling is better than aggression or vice versa. It doesn't matter if the arm stat is better than this. What matters is if all the different play styles are fulfilling and rewarding, and that different people want to do those different play styles. So it's really, again, it's about, without characters in this, it's about letting the player personality shine through their character and letting you represent yourself the way you want to represent it and still feel like you're satisfied by what you've done. So it's kind of a weird thing, but balance doesn't really matter. Everybody's the same. You all start as the same character with the same basic moves, the same hitboxes. You all have the same options on where to drop and what routes to run, and it evolves from there. You become a different character by the end of the game based on what perks you get and what stats you pick up and what special moves you run. But every run will be different, and you might have a favorite build, but you may have to improvise because you just can't put it together this time. So balance doesn't really matter in that traditional sense. Hey, maybe there's a move that the community decides is the best move in the game. In the previous beta, that was Super Sumo Slap. That was by far the best move in the previous beta. By a lot. No questions. I agree. Super strong. Doesn't matter, though. You might not be able to find it. You may find it, and then some asshole falls out of the sky elbow first and does 800 damage to you, and you die, and then you drop the book, and he picks it up. So, it's just not the kind of game where those types of questions matter quite as much, I think.
Okay.
How much variance do you see, or do you hope to see, in terms of player playstyles?
I hope to see a ton of variance, and I am already seeing that kind of in studio and in playtests. People definitely have preferred ways to play. There are a lot of people who are not playing to win. They're just playing for fun, and they're finding their fun in all kinds of different ways. Like we have that person at the office who will hunt you at first sight until one of you is dead. That's his play style. We have people at the studio who think getting a laugh is a lot more important than getting a win, and they will try to do the funniest thing possible to you, no matter how hard it is to do. And maybe that involves trying to set up a very delicate, like, choke slam onto a car to go into outer space, from the bounce pads and stuff. Yeah. There's also a lot of interesting play styles for people who are competitive as well.
Okay.
Could you describe what some of those competitive play styles you feel are?
Yeah, there's an aggressive play style that's very high on burning stamina and fishing with kind of strikes. There's a weapon play style. Our community manager, Keenan, kind of made this one famous around the office. Everyone's just like, oh, yeah, got 4 chickens in my pockets. I'm stacked. I'm ready. And Keenan's like, I have 4 bats. I don't need chicken because I will kill you and take yours. and the bats are very high priority. So good luck when your moveset doesn't work against me because I pulled a bat out of my pocket. And then he breaks the bat on your face, and you're like, finally, the bat's gone. And then he pulls out another one, and you're like, oh. There's so many ways. I don't want to like get too much into all of that because I want you guys to explore and find your own favorite ways to play. But I promise there are dozens and dozens of things I've seen that are really unique and interesting.
Would you be willing to say what your favorite play style is?
I'm a stamina player. People are always saying stamina's not the best, but I do like to. That person at the beginning, I was saying that I like to fish with things. I like to throw out atomic punch lines and dodge cancel them. I like to bulldog people and walk right into their face and try to make them dodge by not doing anything or just by charging up a move and then punishing the dodge. It doesn't always work out for me, but I've always in fighting games had a bully play style. The characters I gravitate towards most are bully type characters, so that is definitely my play style here. I'm trying to bully a little bit.
I think that's interesting that you feel like your fighting game playstyle translates. Do you find that other people have that same experience? I know there's some other fighting game players who are on the team.
Yeah, I would say so. I think the only fighting game players I've talked to who, maybe want more are zoning type players. But I do think you can get that through thrown objects. It's really about choosing your spots to fight on the map that have a lot of things to pick up and throw. And you can definitely zone in this game. But it's not Hadoukens and stuff.
What about for players who aren't coming at this from a fighting game perspective? That is to say, like people who have played shooter BRs or maybe just shooters in general. What kind of challenges do they seem to have, or how well do they pick it up?
Yeah, our comms director Deej actually came from shooter background, and his first response was, "Can I remap attack to right trigger?" That's what I want to press. And it's like, yeah, you can fully remap all the controls. But then I guess he kind of told himself, no, I'm gonna stick with what they laid down and adapt to it. And he went through all the challenges a lot of our non-fighting game players do. With I don't really understand quite how to read people or when to block or when to dodge or why. But that comes to you relatively quickly if you're just having a good time playing the game. You're getting in your cheap shots, you're third partying, you're jumping off buildings, you're doing elbow drops, you're getting the slams, and you're throwing weapons at people. The rest of it just comes to you. It does not take that long because what you're doing is you're getting into fights, even if they're short, and you're running away, and you're seeing other players' behavior. And those other players are you. They're the same character as you. Anything they can do, you can do too. So it becomes very easy to learn from other players. Come on, Brock.
There's definitely some things I can do that other people can do. All right. Let's be honest here.
But my point stands, right? It's like if in a fighting game context, if I'm a Ryu player and I'm playing against Zangief and he SPDs me, it's like, well, I can't do that. I didn't learn anything from that in the direct what can I do sense. But in this game, that doesn't exist. Everyone is the same. Mm-hmm. So you can learn very directly from other players' actions. If you get KO'd, you could spectate the person who KO'd you for a minute while you rematch and look for another match. You'll learn a lot from just watching people. You're like, oh, he's dodging there, and he can actually get the punish, or this range looks better for this thing. You'll learn it super fast. It's actually really surprising how fast people have kind of come to grips with the concepts we would maybe consider more complicated or delicate to teach. They just don't seem that delicate or complicated to teach here for whatever reason.
Kind of shifting it a little bit, referring back to something that you mentioned. You mentioned people who just like to do cool things like pile driving people and bouncing off cars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How interactive is the environment? Because I was watching the video that looked like there were Sonic the Hedgehog bumpers on the top of buildings.
There's lots of bounce pads.
Yeah. So like, how interactive is the environments in that style?
There's, like I said, there's stop signs you can rip out of the ground and mailboxes. There's all kinds of things you can bounce off of, and those bounces will amplify damage if you're able to slam somebody onto them. There's a lot of things to find, and of course, as we update the game over time, maybe you'll see some more stuff. That'd be cool. There's also water to watch out for. So you don't want to get thrown in the water. The Rumbler's muscles are too dense, so they are not buoyant, and they cannot swim physically.
Big boys.
Yep. So they just sink right to the bottom, and that's an instant KO. But if you're worried about that, don't go near the water. And the ring doesn't force you there that often, but when it does, it's a little scary. But you can predict that also by looking at the map and maybe focus on more displacement moves and less on the arm stat, because does damage and health really matter if you're just going to get one hit KO'd in the water? Maybe focus on stamina that run.
I mean, like, are you going to add more things like spiked walls that you can throw people into, traps that you can
trigger? Is undeterminable, and
fair.
Anything could happen, but I'm not saying anything. So
fair.
So we talked a little bit about the weapons and the skill books and the protein pods. Can you talk about the perks?
Yeah, so I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but the perk system is your reward for aggression. We actually added some more information to the screen on this too, so you'll be able to read it more easily in this next build. Nice. So definitely ask me later what's new in this build. I have a list. But all you have to do to earn perks is hurt people. You don't have to get the KO, and that's really important. A lot of people are like, oh no, it should be for the KO, but just so much hostility and negativity around like kill stealing. Right?
Yes.
Brock will do 4,000 damage to me. He's forced me to eat all my pocket chicken. He's just walloping the crap out of me. And then David flies in from a roof, taps me for 200, and gets the KO. Should David get all the rewards for that? I don't think so.
My whole strategy in the beta. That's all I was doing was following around good players and cleaning up after them.
And that's fine. But Brock will have built many more perks than you for that. There is a little.
I was actually just going to ask real quick. You said hurt people.
Yeah.
Does that only mean physically, or can you taunt in front of people and build your perk meter as well?
The taunting will build a superstar meter, not the perk meter.
Okay.
The perk meter is only filled through damaging people.
Well, emoting in front of someone hurts them too in a different way, Adam.
Sure.
Maybe think about that, okay?
That's why it fills your superstar meter. It makes the fans happy. So when you kind of level up, you fill the perk meter all the way to the top, you get a random perk. These can be mundane but powerful things, like your dodge roll now costs 50% less stamina. Good God, is that powerful? Not maybe the most exciting thing, but extremely powerful. Or you may find very exciting things in there, like the final hit of your 3-hit combo now causes an explosion that can wall splat and blow people away. And that can be very handy because it makes it much easier to hit confirm into a wall splat and knock people off roofs and stuff like that. You may find perks that greatly assist you with recovery. A favorite perk for a lot of people is the sadistic perk. And that one gives you 2% health back every time you hit somebody. So if I hit you with a suplex, that's 1 hit, I get 2%. If I hit you with the 1-2-3 combo, that's 3 hits, I get 6%. And that's percentage based. So if I raise my core stat and I'm getting more and more max health, that percentage means more health per hit. So you can start to see, I got that perk. Now I'm going to get a move that hits multiple times. Now I'm going to build more into the core stat and try to maximize this advantage for myself. Stuff like that is really interesting. So I definitely invite you to earn some perks this weekend. You can press the map button and see all the details of your perks and read what each of them does. Just hide in a bush or something when you do it so you don't get obliterated. They're really cool. It won't take you that long to memorize what they do and what your favorite ones are, but they are definitely like a key to, once you're comfortable with the game, to unlocking kind of the next level of how can I get the most out of each run.
Yeah,
he said hit confirm.
I did.
He said
that is a
confirm.
thing.
Yeah.
That is a thing.
So I mean, like I just want to say, like, this sounds really neat to me because, like, it sounds like the way that you keep describing it, every time you play the game, there's enough that can tweak what's happening that you're going to make different decisions. The strategy gets very, very deep. It's not like, hey, I'm just going to build arms all day because this is working for, but like you said, if it ends up shifting towards the river, then all of a sudden you don't, things change.
Who cares if you hit for 1,000 damage?
Right. If you get a certain perk, like a perk, then you want to be, well, let me drop this book and pick up a different book and such. So
you definitely see some players get stats first because they're just like, I'm getting them, I'm going to fill up the bar. But a lot of players will kind of forgo that entirely and do a little damage first because those first 3 perks or so, those earn pretty fast. You don't have to do a lot of damage to get them. So even just doing some hit and run stuff, you get some nice perks. Then you can look at those perks and be like, is there anything here I want to build around? And then start to make more decisions around that. That's a pretty good strategy, I would say. Yeah,
just in the few hours that I played in the last beta, I found that I was already realizing that I needed to change my play style based on what was going on. Like if we were playing in the suburbs, I had to do different stuff than if we were playing in the tall, dense city with the tall buildings. It was just clear to me that I just couldn't be playing the same way in those 2 cases. And so already I was switching things up.
Yeah, the environment can really change what strategies are your favorites. Even a move like the rocket jump, so good if you're in an area that's medium or high heights, but then you're in the suburbs and you're like, what am I going to do with this? Right. I can already jump to the top of a building without it. And, early game, the ring is big. You can move the fight to a place that's better for you. You could fake running away. Somebody will chase you, and then you could fight them in a better spot. That's a really cool thing to do. But late game, you're kind of at the mercy of where the ring shrinks to. And you want to watch the map and see if you can make some predictions there on where it might go and maybe change your strategy.
Fascinating. Yeah, that attacking and then feigning a retreat only to then counterattack. Famous strategy popularized by Genghis Khan back in the day.
Yeah, he was a big inspiration for this game.
Genghis Khan, big inspiration for Rumbleverse. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
One thing you haven't talked about.
Go ahead, David.
One thing we haven't talked about yet is Superstar mode.
That's what I was about to bring up.
Wow, amazing. Can you talk
Beautiful.
about it?
Yeah. The Superstar meter fills in two ways. You can either do combat, that can be hurting people or getting hurt. Or you can also fill it by collecting stars found throughout the environment. These are just kind of like coins in 3D platformers. They're all over the place. They also come out of crates. So even if you don't need any more loot, break some crates, find some star coins, and fill up that Superstar meter. Once that bad boy is completely full, it gives you KO protection, basically. If you get KO'd when the Superstar meter is full and unactivated, it will automatically spend your Superstar meter. And you'll get what's called a Superstar comeback. You get some health back, causes an explosion and shoves people away from you. That gets you right back into the game. This is your second chance.
Yeah, I feel like
this is your last breath. This is your second chance to get back in the fight.
Can't control it.
But you're only going to get about 30% of your health back when this happens. Whereas if you were to activate Superstar meters, this is the other use for it. When it's full, you can activate, and that'll also cause an explosion that pushes people away. But it gives you kind of an install mode where you're powered up for a while. There's a big blue spotlight on you, so everyone knows you're in this mode. And in this mode, your stamina restores so fast. You move faster. It's the only way to actually move faster in the game. You jump higher, you hit harder, and your life automatically regenerates as well. And if you were to just pop Superstar mode and then hide, you actually build back like 60% of your health instead of 30%. So in some cases, it's better to use the Superstar mode as a heal and then refill it again later and kind of run that cycle.
So you can have
rather than
one per game is what you're saying for every.
Yeah, you can't stock more than one, but you could spend one and then refill it and then spend again.
I
so
noticed
comeback can be really good if you're in a. Yeah, comeback can be great if you're.
Yeah, go ahead.
Comeback can be great if you are really low on health and like somebody else pops super. So it's like, oh, they're gonna hit me for 720 damage. If they hit this thing, I have 300 health. I won't survive that. The comeback makes it so that I can play a little bit more cavalier and it'll protect me. But there are a lot of cases where you might want to pop the super just for the heal and intimidate people away from you. Like if people are chasing you, you pop super and start walking at them. They're like, oh, I'm out of here. See you later. There's a lot of things you can do with it for sure. Of course, you also get access to your super move in super mode. So your basic vicious attack on wire triangle is going to change into your super move attempt. And if that hits, you're going to do a huge spinning power bomb that does 720 base damage. A lot more if you build up other stats and stuff. Yep. Very, very cool. Very scary. Super is also the highest priority move. So when we talk about priority, that's the one to watch out for. You're not going to beat that even with weapons. It's going to blow right through whatever you're doing.
Now,
Adam Hart, what's priority?
Hey, we made it to the priority section.
Well, before we get to the priority section, I'm just curious.
Priority section.
From just a game developer, game designer standpoint, what was the decision that you guys came to add the Superstar mode in there? Like, what was it? Like, what does that mode fulfill in terms of like gameplay and just fun factor, etc.?
Sure, yeah. It adds a lot of depth to the game without adding a lot of complexity. It gives new players who are completely ignorant that the system exists and aren't even looking at it the ability to survive a KO. And they'll be like, I don't know why my character got back up, but I'm back in it, baby. Let's go. And that feels great. And then as you learn it, comeback is still a valuable strategic thing. And also activation is a valuable strategic thing for a variety of reasons, either for attack or defense or escape or whatever. And the real reason it's here is because, you want all of these fights to kind of play out in different ways. And it's that variable that you need to kind of let players generate threat or escape in really unique ways that they can't do all the time. You need those moments, right, where something really spectacular or scary is happening, but that can't be all the time, or it's too much.
Right. Okay.
Adam Hart.
Yes.
What's the priority system?
2 attacks are going at each other at roughly the same time. Doesn't have to be like the exact same time, but roughly the same time. If those attacks hit, you'll be in a clash situation. So if those attacks are the same priority, like if you do the basic chop and I do the basic chop, we bounce off each other. This builds a lot of superstar meter. A lot. Look out. So clashes are cool. That's like, oh, you and your opponent had the same idea at that moment. It kind of puts you back into neutral right in front of each other, and it's like, oh, what next? Let's do it again. Let's build some superstar meter, baby. Let's keep clashing these chops until our superstar meters are full. You might do that. Or you might be like, oh, he thinks we're going to clash chops again, so I'll do something higher priority that beats that. Or he's going to do something higher priority that beats that, so I'm just going to block or dodge, and it just puts you into a really kind of tight situation. So in an interaction like that, where 2 attacks are about to collide, and it's really two players attacking each other. It's not like a third party attacking you while you attack somebody else. 2 players are attacking each other. The game will say, oh, here's a list of priorities. If this one's higher than that one, then this one will just win outright. And what that will look like is like Brock's chop will just go right through me, and then I'll finish my giant punch animation. So there is a priority system explainer in the game. If you press the map button, you're actually going to see a list of all the priorities. So at the bottom is going to be your vicious attacks. Vicious attacks are unblockable, but they're the lowest priority. And then above that is going to be your strike attacks. The special versions are better than the basic versions. So a basic chop is going to lose to like a special atomic punchline. Above that's going to be your weapons. And weapons have unblockable attacks too. So that's very interesting. That's the way to do a high priority unblockable. And then above that are power moves. This is a special class of move that just tends to beat almost everything. That's your drop kick. It's in your basic kit. And there's a special move called uppercut that's also a power move. And these just beat all kinds of stuff. And they're really, really good, but you can't bail out of them usually. So they're bigger commitments. You gotta know. You know what I mean. You gotta know. And then above that's super move. So it's not a circle. It's a line.
Yeah, that's about to ask. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, there is a circle at the bottom. It's like, block beats strike and vicious beats block, whatever. It's got the typical RPS thing. But then above attack, there's just like this stack of things that beat other things. It's very linear. It's very easy to follow. In the previous version, you may have played or seen, you would see an interaction like this, and it would say the word crush next to your character. That meant a move crushed another move. We've made that much more clear in this version, and now it'll say strike priority, power priority, super priority. So it'll be much more clear to you what happened, whether you were on the receiving or delivering end. It's going to tell you what priority beat you, and hopefully that will be very clear for you that the reason your attack whiffed is because you were part of a priority system interaction.
Yeah, it's interesting because in the age of esports, that's also very key for viewers too, right? To be able to see those messages on the screen. KI was one of the first fighting games to put punish on the screen, and I have always been super grateful for you guys starting that trend.
We don't have a punish display in this game.
Yeah, well, that's fair.
Hey.
Well, what's wrong with you guys, man? Get that in there, then. No.
Yeah, that system is really cool. I don't want to get too deep into it, but the net code in this game is a bit of a miracle. We weren't sure we could even accomplish it. And we didn't build a game that we loved that was fun and then try to make it work online. We built the net play first and then built gameplay that worked within kind of the limitations of what the net play could accomplish. It's always a work in progress. Like even in this weekend's beta, it is vastly better than it was last time you played. And last time you played, it was very good. Yeah. But they're always finding very interesting improvements. There's so much wizardry going on here. I don't even understand half of it, to be honest. But the result of that, is a game in which you're not exactly seeing, the move as your opponent starts it.
Right.
So trying to do something that's really like tight timing based or frame perfect or anything like that just doesn't work that well in the system. And what we found was that felt kind of icky for a while until we added the priority system, and then it all kind of made sense. It's like, we both chopped at roughly the same time. Now we get a clash. Oh, now I know you're going to chop. I can do a thing that beats that without having to like time it perfectly or be first. And what that'll kind of result in is that mythical combat game everybody seems to want, where frame data doesn't matter that much. That's this game. It kind of just works that way. It doesn't really matter that much. So you really just want to know what they're doing and try to counter it and know what's punishable. But it's not really about the type of frame counting fighting game people really like. It's not really here. So don't bother.
Well, outside of frame counting and frame data and all that stuff, another thing fighting game players like is training mode. Are we gonna have any sort of like open world so we can practice like traversal or dummies or anything like that to practice combos? Or we'd like to see that stuff. So
in this beta, no. At launch, there will be something.
There'll be something.
There will be something.
Okay.
There will be a place you can go to read some tips and tutorials and do some practicing. There will be something.
Okay.
Yes.
Even in the betas, as you're getting ready to like launch out of the cannon, there's like an intro. I don't remember how long it lasts.
Yeah, the battle barge.
Yeah, on the ship. Where you get to basically try stuff out. Like there's
you have infinite health on there, and you can experiment. The servers fill up really fast in these betas, so you're not there for that long, unfortunately. Right. But that is a good place to test your controls and platforming and combat.
As far as
there are vending machines all over the barge and also tips. So you should look for some of those tips and read those. And also the vending machines can let you try out special moves and weapons and all kinds of things in that safe environment.
So we talked a little bit about how some people in the office like playing a competitive style. Some people are less competitive. But for those competitive folks, will there be like ranked matches? Will there be skill-based matchmaking, ladder, etc.?
We are not going to have any type of like ranked mode when we launch. The matchmaking is gonna try to make sure that people are having a good time. Take that for what you will. But it's really kind of in your guys' hands. If the community is playing the game and really getting into it, you guys tell us what you want to see. So now we're going to release a game that we think is super fun and that a lot of people can play together and have a great time. But if people want to start trying to run tournaments or events or host esportsy type spectator things, tell us what it is you need from us to try to make that cooler and better, and we are listening, and we will try to help.
Yeah, so is there going to be any of that stuff right away? Is there going to be a spectator mode? Is there going to be a way to host private servers?
Right.
We'll talk about that at a later date. That's not for today.
So that's that confirmed. We heard it here first. Later date means coming for sure. You guys know these game devs. We know what they're saying.
So I mean, obviously we've been talking about. We've even just throwing around the words esports. Obviously, Epic Games, all this stuff like that. So, is there hardcore plans for esports in the future, or is that something we can talk about at a future date?
We don't really look at it that way. We're trying to make a game that's fun and addictive, and that you want to be playing and you want to be in here with your friends. And esports for us is an organic thing. It's something that the community builds. It's not something we're planning to build. Mm-hmm. So if people want to make tournaments and all that kind of stuff, we'll figure out how we can help make that better for you and support it. But that's really on the community. If the community feels this is a game they want to compete in, awesome. But it's not something we're pursuing.
I want to know. I'm going to be shoehorning tournaments on my stream every damn week. Where I'm going to make some esports happen as soon as you give us a spectate option.
Hopefully we can figure something out.
I will lead the way. I want you to know already.
All right.
Just give us drone controls so that we can fly a camera around, basically.
That would be actually godlike.
When you are KO'd and in spectator mode, you can go into free cam mode and drone around.
Oh, really? Okay, well, there you go.
Yeah, you absolutely can.
Hey, we've talked about it a little bit, but not in detail yet. What is going to be new in this beta?
Thank you for asking. There are a lot of new things in this beta, so this will hopefully excite some of the people who played last time, the last couple times. Lots of netcode improvements. Hopefully, you guys can let us know what you think after you've played 24 hours straight this weekend. The next thing I actually want to talk about is we've actually made some expansions to the basic moveset. So in the previous version, you would press attack, attack, attack. You would do chop, punch, spin kick. And that was the basic combo. The spin kick didn't knock people over ledges, but it could wall splat. But you could only wall splat from like a short distance. So we've kind of revised the basic combo and given it different enders. So you have some different options now when you're doing the basic combo. So
different
now if you
enders,
do,
huh?
yeah, if you do attack, attack,
familiar.
attack like you used to, you're going to get chop, punch, hammer fists. You're going to do like a big hammer fist move, slaps the person to the ground. That's going to be your highest damage variant of your kind of basic combo. Keeps the other player kind of close. Doesn't give you a ton of advantage time to go like pick up an item or anything, but it's good for keeping people close and doing the most amount of damage. Your next option, and this is going to be the hardest one to hit confirm, is going to be attack into vicious attack. And that's going to do chop into spin kick, which is not going to knock them down. It's just going to shove them away. But it's really good for knocking people off ledges or into a wall splat. So if there's a wall nearby, you can get a wall splat, and that can lead into more, which is great. And then your third option is actually going to be attack, attack vicious. So XXY or whatever. And that's going to end the combo in a back toss. So you kind of like shoulder check the person and fling them back over your head. So this is a cool side switch thing, but they also linger in the air a little bit. This is like your advantage ender. If you want time, if you're fighting over a chicken and I want it, I do XXY, fling you into the air, pick up the chicken, pocket it, I'm gone before you can get
really
up.
Cool.
That is cool.
Or if there was a teammate in a future mode where you were playing with a teammate, you could do XXY, fling somebody into the air, and your teammate could jump up in the air and grab them and give them the business, right? So that's a really good move to use. When I'm playing with Keenan in some of the duo tests in the studio, I'll yell, "Oh!" and then I'll kind of hit those buttons, and he'll swing through it and finish the combo for me, which is super cool. So that's new. There's one other new move in the basic move set, and that's the Vicious Blast. If you charge the Vicious attack, you kind of be like, roll, and your hands start glowing, and then you let go and you slam the ground really hard, and it makes a huge red explosion. That explosion does 0 damage, but it's unblockable. And it's really good for just pushing people away or ledge guarding, clearing a little bit of space. It also gets bigger the higher up you do it from. And the reason we added that move in was actually from some of the duo mechanics, which I'm not going to get into yet, but I'll explain those someday. But that was added to assist with some of the duo mechanics.
I mean, does that mean it's not going to be as used in this beta this weekend? Like,
I think there are a lot of uses for it in solo still, but it's definitely more useful.
That again?
You just hold the vicious button. You just hold triangle or Y.
All right.
Just charge up. It's pretty cool. We added a lot of air moves to a lot of weapons. So a lot of the weapons didn't have air moves in the last version, and now they do. So definitely experiment with those. There's some really cool ones. Last time we played wall splats, yes. And it's unblockable.
Yes! Let's
It's
go!
like a marble.
Let's go!
Wall splats in the last version you guys played were a little bit hard to pick up. You would have to like hit a guy against the wall, take a micro step backwards, do a micro jump, and then grab him out of the air. That stuff's way easier to pick up now. Wall splats are way easier to pick up. You just it does everything I saw you all trying to do last time just works now. So if you get the wall splat, just hit whatever you want. It'll probably work. So that's great. We added some UI improvements. That perk meter is now added, so it's much more clear when you're going to get your next perk, and all that kind of stuff. There's some new messaging next to your character when you earn a new perk. It's like perk earned in the name, and play a little celebration sound, which is awesome. We added priority system messaging, like I discussed earlier, to let you know exactly what priority thing you got beat by or used to beat somebody else. And there's a priority system explainer in the map menu now as well. So if you need a quick reference of what beats what, that's there for you. The item cards that pop up when you get near an item, those have been vastly improved as well, and they're also shoved out of the way, so they no longer like overlap your character, which was kind of annoying. Much better on those, so definitely check those out. We did a massive balance tuning pass focused on making sure moves had unique identities and had risk rewards that made sense. So last time, Sumo Slaps did it all. It did twice the damage of a basic combo. It wall splatted. It did tons of stamina damage. You could combo it into itself 3 times for like 660 damage. You just do sumo slap, stamina break, sumo slap, wall splat, sumo slap, elbow drop, 700 damage. Look at me. I'm doing one move over and over again. So, a good example of how we tuned things is like, oh, this move has it all. It shouldn't. what is the purpose of this move? This move is multi-hitting, so it pairs really well with multi-hitting, bonus perks. And we like that it does a lot of stamina damage. That's the cool thing about it. It's really for attacking the stamina. And we can keep the wall splat too. Why not? But it actually does less damage now than your basic combo, the Sumo Slap. So if you were to punish somebody and you had a choice between Sumo Slap or basic combo might be a better option, raw damage-wise. So now in that situation from before where you went Sumo Slap, Sumo Slap, Sumo Slap for 660 damage, if you do that now, it's going to be like 320 damage, way less. And a much better version of that combo would be Sumo Slap, Stamina Break, XY basic combo, use the spin kick for the wall splat, XXX basic combo to finish. Now you're doing 3 different things, so it's much more exciting to perform and watch. It does 450, 500 damage. It's still a lot. It's still really good, but it's not quite as brainless as the previous version. And that was kind of the philosophy and how we tuned everything. Every move needs to have a very specific purpose and live on the hierarchy in a specific spot, so that if it's high risk, like the tackle move is extremely high risk, very slow startup, long range, high damage and everything, but lots of recovery. It's one of the hardest hitting moves in the game because it's so risky.
Right.
So all of those things make a lot more sense now, and I think if you thought certain moves were too strong or useless last time, try them again, because you will find that they all have a place now, which is awesome.
Are there any new special moves added this time?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
We'll talk about how the game may grow at a future date, but nothing new in that regard this time.
Did you take any out? Did you take anything away from me?
No, that's all still there. Some perks got buffed as well. We found some perks were just not very good or not really usable, so there's some changes in there. So look forward to that as well. There have been hundreds of bug fixes and smaller gameplay tweaks and visual tweaks and polish that make the game just feel better than ever. Like, none of these are worth celebrating on their own, but the combination of them over the last few months of work that we've done is just seriously night and day. I played a build from a few months ago recently, and I was just like, wow, this is a huge difference. And of course, in this beta, we're going to give you a new set of outfits to mix and match to check out, just to get another preview of some of the possibilities and stuff like that. So that's what's new in this beta this Saturday. I really hope that you all join us. At least, let all your friends know as well. This is completely open. If they have any of the platforms, PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X, Xbox One, Epic Game Store on PC, you can get in there and play with us, which will be super awesome. And we're hungry for your feedback, so you can follow at Rumbleverse, send some feedback there. You can join our Discord, which has now got an open chat room as well. Tubbo's very active in there. And we're really excited about this weekend and the road to launch.
Has Arturo tested the input lag on all the different platforms?
No, he hasn't. He has not. I'm sure he'll be trying the game out on a 800 gigahertz monitor or whatever.
The response time is amazing.
Before we let you go, Adam, we do have some fan questions from Reddit and Twitter.
Sure.
And I think some people in the chat probably want to ask you some stuff as well if you have time. If not, no big
deal. Yeah, I can take a few.
All right. Well, first off, from Twitter, at Rumbleverse asks, TuboWare versus Keits at the top of the Grappital City building. Who's getting thrown off first, and are they following up with an elbow drop?
I'm winning that free. Wait, hold. Is it a pure one-on-one?
Yes.
Just me and you? Okay, I'm definitely still winning that. Okay.
No,
What if it was like a 2-on-1? I would still win that as well.
Definitely not.
It's hard to imagine a situation where you could ever beat me.
Just like in regular fighting games.
Yeah. I just can't picture you ever beating me. So
I'm going to. I really hope for
easy
your
question.
sake. Yeah. You're not playing in the test on Saturday. I hope
easy
for
question.
your sake.
I would not follow up with the elbow drop for the second part of that question because I want the loot. I want the loot.
So after I throw him off, I've already had loot because I'm a far superior player.
All right, next question.
All
right. Next question. Reddit user SharpBen007 asks, approximately how many emotes and what cosmetics will be available at launch?
Numbers are weird and hard to talk about because it is kind of a game with a rotating store and a battle pass and all that kind of stuff. I will just say there's a substantial amount of Season 1 content. I do think you will all be pretty impressed with our offerings. So I really can't get into a number, but I think you will be pleased.
We briefly addressed this, but maybe I don't know if you will want to dig more into it. Bluefire in the chat asks, I'm really curious about the challenges of making a netcode for 40 people simultaneously. Is something like rollback even possible?
We've kind of leveraged our learnings from all the years of all the things we've done on this. There are isolated elements of rollback in this, but it is not a rollback game.
Right. Because it's server-based, right? It's server-based.
It is server client-based.
It's not a peer-to-peer thing,
yeah.
so rollback.
If you had asked me 4 years ago, I would have said this was probably impossible. But we some of the smartest people I've ever met, put pen to paper and really tried to attack all of these problems. And some incredible designers also, worked around the limitations to try and build something that feels incredible, that, works with the limitations that we do have with the real situation of we need time for messages to travel from A to B and then B to C and back and all that stuff, right? I think it's just really fascinating. I think this is like a deep dive for one of our engineers to do. Shout outs to Ramon Franco, who is the love of my life, and I dedicate this interview to him, of course. I think, him or Eric Dentarian maybe will do some sort of GDC talk someday about all of this stuff, because I do think it's truly fascinating if you want to nerd out on NetPlay stuff.
Actually,
but
I'm really curious.
Like you guys know me. I am one of the pickiest people there is when it comes to NetPlay. I won't tolerate anything less than perfection when I'm playing online, and I get really huffy about it. I've played this game online for 1,000 hours. I absolutely adore it. I think it hits all the notes it needs to hit. And it doesn't feel like the games you've played before. It's got its own feel, and you'll get over that in minutes, honestly. It's really cool. I love it so much.
Yeah, I saw someone in the chat say Sajam's not playing this game when you didn't say anything about rollback. And
Sajam seems to like this game a lot.
So. Played the game and absolutely loved it, and not once had a problem with internet connection.
Yeah. The internet's the internet. Sometimes some stuff's going to happen. But one of the coolest things about Battle Royale is that if James rage quits, I don't care. I'm one step closer to the victory. I don't even notice he rage quit, right? And then if David loses his connection, it doesn't matter. All I see is that I'm now in 8th place instead of 9th place. I probably don't even know he disconnected. Like, there's just some magic of Battle Royale in that regard. There's some other Battle Royale magic, too, that really fascinates me. This is kind of a tangent, but, we would run playtests in the studio and kind of track over an hour what placement people got. And within 1 hour, 75% of the players would get a top 25% finish. So everyone feels like they're kicking ass. They all feel like they're in the top 25%, cool. Even though they're not, because you will just rank that high sometimes. It's pretty neat, actually. I think it'll be interesting when you guys try competitive stuff to figure out how to score it, because you really can't just go off who gets first. There's a lot more going on here that you're going to have to track. So it'll be an interesting conversation to see how you want to figure out how to figure out who is actually the best over like a set of 4 games or something like that. Because it's definitely not who can get first twice.
So I have a viewer question of my own.
Okay.
Just
you're a viewer and an interviewer.
Is Mighty Mar helping test this game right now?
Absolutely,
and if he is, how many characters can he play at once at the same time?
I think just 2. I think 2. He actually KO'd me in a game today, and he laughed, and I was sad. So.
Okay, fair.
Yeah, he's very strong.
Nice.
And then leaving this to the position of importance that I hold it in at the very end, if you would, could you talk a little bit about what the lore may entail?
The lore. I gave you a little background on kind of the world, right? Everyone here is born with the sole goal of being a champion, and kind of the entire infrastructure of the city is kind of built around supporting that endeavor. When the rumble starts and the battle barge pulls up, everyone goes indoors and becomes a spectator to get out of their cars and leave their cars in the streets because they just want to watch the rumble and not interfere until it's their turn to join the rumble and try to become the champion and stuff. There's a lot of story to tell here, and it's something we plan on telling in a lot of interesting ways in the future, but I really can't say more than that at the moment.
That's cool.
Yeah.
One other thing that I just wanted to address is that in my playing of it, I just found that the world was hilarious. Like there's like a lot of comedy in there. Can you talk a little bit about how that was developed?
Do you like dad jokes? Because we've got all of them.
That's all I like.
We've got all of them. Honestly, you should just explore the map at some point, and just look at some of the signs that the art and fiction teams have come up with. There's some hilarious stuff in here. You know, a lot of it's really dumb, but that's the game. The game is dumb, right? It's big dumb fun. That's kind of one of the pillars of the game, is just to be this big hysterical thing. So I definitely invite you to explore the environment and do some sightseeing beyond just the combat this weekend.
Is there anything else that you'd like to get to that we haven't talked about?
I don't think so. I think you guys made me run the whole gamut here. I'll just reiterate that I'm still in love with this game. I still playtest it many hours a week and have a blast every time. I get serious like belly laughs every time I play this. Every hour, something incredibly stupid happens that just makes us all die laughing, and that is part of why I'm so addicted to it. You know, I love outsmarting multiple people at once, and that's great and all, but it's ultimately just a really chill, fun, funny game to play. I could sit down with this for hours and not take it seriously. I could sit down with it for hours and take it really seriously. It just depends on my mood. It's a blast. If you come from fighting games, I think you're going to find a lot to love here. If you don't come from fighting games, I think you're going to find a lot to love here. I really would love it if you are, you know, a fan of Iron Galaxy or a fan of mine or a fan of fighting games or a fan of UltraChen. Please give us a download and give us a try this weekend. I think you'll like what you play.
Is there any genre of players that won't find something that they love in this game?
So far, according to our tests, no. We'll find people who will be like, my background's in real-time strategy. I like to click and watch somebody walk there. And then they'll play this game and they'll be like, I loved it. So, okay, cool. I don't know. It's a high charm video game that just feels good to touch. So, you know, find out if it's for you and find out this weekend.
Hey, as a 4X player myself for way too many hours and years, I really like this game.
Thank you. I like it too.
All right, cool, man. Well, thanks a lot for coming on and chatting with us about it. We're really happy to have you on.
It was a pleasure, and you know, I love all three of you, and I really appreciate you having me on, and appreciate your friendship and support over the years. You've been wonderful pillars in my life. So just wanted to say from the bottom of my heart, much love to you, and it's been really fun spending the last hour or so with you.
Thanks.
And you.
And for those people watching on YouTube and such, where can they go to ask more questions, find out more about Rumbleverse?
Yeah, definitely go to @Rumbleverse on Twitter. And then you can also follow the links there to join our Discord. There's a lively chat in there. Community managers and TuboWare will help you with all kinds of questions. He knows a lot about this game. He calls himself the best player outside of Iron Galaxy. He might be right.
Don't give him that. Don't give him that. Don't give him that.
That's the truth.
He's pretty good.
I have undeniable proof. You just got to watch my streams.
Yeah,
I got more dubs than anyone.
But yeah, that would be your best source for now, I believe.
Okay.
Cool. Well, thanks again. We're going to move on.
Okay. Thanks,
Good night,
guys.
Adam.
Thanks,
for coming on,
Adam,
homie.
for jumping on. All right. Let's switch over back to this view here. And there we go. Haven't been updating all these things as we've gone. So do we want to take a break, or do we want to just go straight through this whole entire thing, dudes?
Well, I have to do a little tinkle. So if you don't mind, let's take a break.
Let's take a quick break.
And after that's done, should be, 5 or 10 seconds. I'll be back.
No problem. We will be right back, guys. Don't go anywhere. We're going to talk all about Street Fighter 6 after this. Welcome back, everybody, to the Tuesday show. Thanks again for Adam coming onto the show and talking with us all about Rumbleverse. Hope you guys enjoyed all of that brand new information. You heard it here first. But speaking of brand new information, and we heard it first, something got announced recently. Well, not announced, but we got some new reveals about something. What was that, David?
So, have you guys heard of Street Fighter? Well, there's a sixth one coming out. Actually, Street Fighter 6, technically maybe 7th or 8th, depending on how you count that.
Yeah.
6 is coming out, and it was shown as a trailer during Sony's State of Play. There were some rumors that was going to happen, and I was like, I don't think that's going to happen. And then, lo and behold, it was there. Furthermore, there was a Street Fighter 6 website put up that has just a ton of information about the game, like a surprisingly large amount of information about the game. And also, there was a whole leak of
A bunch of leaks.
of characters, a bunch of leaks indeed. But among other things, showing like a lot of the roster. We don't know if it's A, real, although probably, and B, we don't know if it's the base roster. Is this like including DLC, which assuming that there will be,
Right.
and a ton of info has come out about Street Fighter 6 in just the last week. So let's talk about it. As far as the trailer goes, I gotta tell you, man, like right off the bat, like I was really into it. Like I thought that it looked great. I thought that the characters that they showed, the new ones that they showed, looked really sick. We had previously seen like a tiny bit of Ryu and a tiny bit of Luke, but this is a lot more, and I thought it looked really cool.
Yeah, so I mean, before we talk about our own impressions, one of the things that I just want to say is I was very pleasantly surprised at the reception that this information has been getting. Every time a new fighting game comes out, people are like, outside of like Dragon Ball Fighters, which was just, universally effusive praise because it was so beautiful. But like, you always see, oh God, this looks, oh no, what are they doing? What have they done? Oh, it's changing. I hate the way this, but like, most of what I've been reading have been surprisingly positive. So I kudos to Capcom for seemingly doing a pretty bang up job with this so far.
Dude, it's positive because it looks sick. Honestly, like, that's why. If this came out and the graphics were bad or whatever, whatever could be wrong with it, I probably wouldn't have gotten the same reaction. But the characters that we saw in the leak, all their designs, in my opinion, are the coolest that most of those characters have ever looked. Obviously, those aren't in-game looks, so I don't necessarily know how it would translate there. But
wait, are you speaking about what we've seen, or are you speaking on the leaks?
I'm talking about the leaks. I think that they're the coolest that I've seen. But just to say, even for the characters that we've seen that are official, so we know that Ryu, Luke, Chen, and Jamie, this new character, is in. There's also like a little bit of a character called Kimberly that you can see in one of the backgrounds that was shown. So we know that some of these characters are in here.
DJ actually appears in the trailer as well.
DJ appears in the trailer.
Yeah, he's on one of the jumbotrons. You can clearly see his face.
I didn't know. Okay, that's very interesting. There's also another character that is shown in the trailer that hasn't been officially named. So I don't know if anybody wants a spoiler or whatever.
Right,
but
yeah, I mean, we won't talk about the spoilers, although everybody knows. And shout outs also to the Street Fighter Twitter for kind of just like saying like, hey, I know citizens of Metro City have seen things that were not right. meant to be seen, but
that's the way to handle it. Yeah.
Honestly, it was one of the best ways to handle it because they did it humorlessly and kind of in character, which shout outs to them. Honestly, it was really cool.
Yeah, I love people talking in the chat about the animation. I think it looks great. I some of the stuff is obviously not ready yet. And that makes sense because it's not a finished game. But
I've seen people talking about how on Twitter they've been drip feeding certain things with characters, and I've seen people say, "Oh, these animations look better than the original trailer." I want to point something out to people. A lot of AAA game studios don't make their own trailers.
Yes.
They will give another studio several clips, and situations that they want seen. And they'll send all that information, all that data over, and they send this months in advance so they can prepare the trailer for launch or whenever they're launching the trailer, right? You'd have to imagine they're giving them, 3 to 6 month old build footage to make the trailer with, right? And then there's like, oh, these animations look so much cleaner. Well, yeah, because that's from a newer build, most likely. They're recording that stuff for Twitter in house, whereas the other stuff was made months ago. So yeah, of course it's going to look more polished in the stuff they're going to drip feed us from here on out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really appreciative, and I know a lot of people have talked about this, but the art design of the game, the fact that the game is going more like almost kind of back to this gritty to the streets kind of thing. You know, we've seen them walking up to the garage door and it transitions to them walking down to the ring and people in the, I mean, it's almost like pit fighter. Like, you know, the people are sitting there cheering the guys going into the ring. You know, it's very kind of urban, gritty. It feels like Street Fighter, and you know, based off of the leaks as well. Again, I'm not going to spoil anything about the leaks, but one of the things that the leaks did reveal is that all the characters are firmly tied to a country of origin. And I'm really happy about that too, because that was always one of my favorite things about original Street Fighter 2 and stuff. You know, that, you know, it felt like the tournament. Like, here's this guy from this country representing here and stuff. And I'm really happy about that, honestly. And just the game, it's weird because Desk put out that footage of the side by side. And I've never thought Chun-Li's EX Lightning Kick in Street Fighter V looked stiff. But then as soon as you look the two side by side, like Street Fighter's EX Lightning legs looked really stiff. It really did.
I mean, it's just a sign of improvement. Also, though, not all things do look better. For example, Ryu's Tatsu looks jank. It's going the wrong way, first and foremost. Second off, he kind of just lifts up the ground in helicopters. It looks very like it was made in '94. So not everything is perfect. I don't want to make it sound like it's all roses.
Of course.
However, I agree. I like the look of it. I like the graffiti stuff, man.
Yeah,
I think that shit looks super dope.
Yeah, there's
competitively,
like a
it might be a little much to get used to. It's a lot. So maybe I kind of hope they die it down a little bit.
Dude.
Oh, really?
But
no,
it looks
dude.
really cool, man.
Dude,
it looks really cool.
You're a Marvel player. What are you talking
Ultimate
about?
Marvel versus
It's
Capcom
different,
3,
though. It's different.
Guilty Gear Strive have already proven that those things will all disappear once we keep playing the game, honestly.
Yeah, Brock,
Yeah,
you don't even know what they look like. You haven't seen them in 10 years. You got your eyes saw them for the first time, and then a year in, you never saw any of those effects ever again.
On you earlier, and what's one of the first things they did when that game KI came from the old dev to Iron Galaxy? They got rid of like half the hit sparks because it was too much. Sometimes it can be too much.
It can be too much, but I don't think this is going to be.
I don't know if this is or isn't. But if it is, I hope they, tone it down if need be, is what I'm saying.
Have you even seen the big combo counter, the big counter message inside?
Yeah, all the
lately?
time. Yes.
I mean, it pops up, but does your brain think like?
Yes,
it's
my
really
brain
large?
still sees it. Yeah, because that's how
really?
I confirm counter hits.
Well,
with that.
I know that you do that.
Oh yeah, so I noticed that. Yeah.
Of course you see it. What I'm trying to say is, does it bother you at all? No, you don't even think about it.
It never
anymore.
bothered me. I didn't ever. You're asking the wrong guy here. I always thought that was dope as fuck.
Other people did not like that. They thought that it was too big,
Look,
and I bet for those who are still
'cause
playing,
they're dumb
they
and
no
I'm
longer
smart.
notice it in the same way. It's not just a functional thing.
Love it. I love the slowdown on the parries. I love the crazy zigzag, the spray paint art when it like shoots out of the whatever happens that generates it. Like the footage that I saw, Jamie does this and all the spray paint comes out and it actually lands on the ground. Like the spray paint stays on the ground and even to the point where and where Jamie is spinning, he leaves a hole where the paint like maybe lands on him and so it doesn't hit the ground. Like there's almost kind of this interactive element to it and it fades away later. But like, dude, one of my biggest complaints about Street Fighter V is that and like what I was talking to Keits about trying to make esports friendly to viewers, you have to think about how viewers who aren't playing the game perceive the game. Street Fighter V had very little in that department. Crush counters are like the only thing, right? But this game is dialing it up, and when you see those the just parries, and it's like super slow, and dude, I don't know, like I got hyped watching that.
I think all that stuff looks super cool. I'm with you 100%.
So the drive system is in this
drive
game.
system seems dope.
It's got a drive gauge. What's a drive gauge? What's a drive system? Well, the drive system gives you drive gauge. You'll enter a burnout state if you spend your entire thing with big disadvantages, but it also replenishes automatically, making meter management a key to the fight. Well, what can you do with it? So you got drive impact, which is a powerful strike that can absorb an opponent's incoming attack.
Focus attack.
Focus attack.
Focus attack.
It's focus.
You can also do a drive parry. A drive
Parries, you say?
That's right. Which is a parry. And there's also perfect parry, which gives you extra benefits of whatever kind. Then there's overdrive, which is just EX moves.
EX.
But, it's funny, in their actual description, they say, these are the same attacks as EX special moves in past games.
Yeah.
Yep, they literally say we just renamed it.
Yeah. And then there's drive rush, which performs a quick rush forward from a drive parry or a cancelable normal attack.
FADC.
FADC. Drive reversal, perform a counterattack while blocking an opponent's attack.
Alpha counter.
Alpha count.
There you go. So there's a whole bunch of different stuff that is tied to the drive meter that takes inspiration, if not just like doesn't outright lift the ideas from previous Street Fighter games. And what's interesting is that it's we've talked in the past. What do you want to see in Street Fighter 6? James is like, I want to see parries. Other people are like, I want to see this or that. This is just like a lot of different stuff. That's all kind of hodgepodge.
I was literally just gonna say, I don't know how I'm gonna feel about playing my favorite fighting game and my favorite Street Fighter, my least favorite Street Fighter at the same time. Like, how am I'm gonna have to play Street Fighter 4 and Third Strike at the same time. How am I gonna feel about this? I have no idea.
Focus attack plus FADC and also parries.
Yeah.
And also parry, yeah.
And
dude, it feels like a CBS2 groove. I swear.
Dude, I love it because the individualization that's possible from this, I think, is fantastic.
Okay.
This will actually make it so that one, Ryu player will focus on something and another Ryu player could potentially focus. Like maybe one of them wants to spend the 3 bars on that dash cancel on normals, for cool combos or whatever. Maybe the other guy wants to save it for parrying and plays a defensive Ryu and stuff. I think it's really cool, and resource management has always been one of my favorite aspects of fighting games. A lot of fighting games have done this, where the resource does a bunch of different things, but this feels like kind of an extreme level of what I've wanted to do. In fact, one of the original ideas for Street Fighter 4, when talking to Seth Killian about that game a long time ago, was strangely something similar to this, so...
And honestly, it kind of just feels like a celebration of Street Fighter, right?
Yeah.
Taking little bits and pieces from all like the fan favorite games and putting it all into one thing. It kind of feels like they're celebrating Street Fighter a little bit. And isn't the 30th anniversary coming up, or 35th?
No, that's already 35th. Yeah, 30th happened already.
Yeah, 35th is coming. So maybe it's something to do with that. But it seems really dope, man. And also, I'd like to point out, so far, there's no comeback mechanic. We don't know of a comeback mechanic yet.
Mm-hmm.
And that is so goddamn refreshing. I'm so sick of fighting games having a comeback mechanic. I really hope there isn't one besides, maybe parry, if you want to count that, right? Or whatever. You're using your drive meter the correct way. Because, man, I'm just so sick of the shoehorned comeback mechanics that never end up as comeback mechanics,
Yeah.
That's never how they actually end up usually. It's usually player 1 gets their thing, then player 2 gets their thing. Anyways. Yeah, I think it's cool that we don't have a comeback mechanic yet.
Hopefully.
I hope at all.
Well, I mean, we'll see what happens, but like from what we can tell, yeah, and it's nice. I mean, I hope they bring back chip death, but that's another story. So
might be. I don't see any reason not to with this particular set of info we have, but I guess we'll see.
There's parries. Why shouldn't there be chip death?
Right. That makes sense to me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As far as other stuff, people are pointing out in the chat that there's no stun bar that's visible. That doesn't necessarily mean no stun, because other Street Fighter games have had stun bars that are invisible.
Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 2.
There you go. So it could be that. We just don't really know either way. And then another thing to talk about here is that there are 2 control types, modern and classic. Modern is basically, well, I should say first, classic is the classic kind that we're all used to, right? You have control over your character in whatever way that you can. And modern pares it down a little bit. So there's... let's see, I'm bringing it up now. So there's like light attack, medium attack, heavy, and then special move is a button in this set. And it allows you to perform special attacks with simple button combinations. On the other hand, it doesn't give you access to all of your tools. Not all of your tools are going to be available in modern control type. So
light attack, medium attack, heavy attack.
Right. Yeah. As opposed to having like all 6.
Too light,
right,
too
yeah.
medium, too heavy.
Exactly. Yeah. So you don't have all the stuff.
It's-
But I imagine the idea here is to help bring people into the fighting game, and other games have had simple mode or whatever stuff like that in the past. It's not like a new idea. So I'm not particularly worried about this. But one thing I will say is that my hope, although I don't expect it, my hope is that both of these could be competitively viable. I think it'd actually be super sick if one of the modes was you have access to like your DP immediately and to your special moves without having to think about any emotions, but you don't have as much control over your character. Probably not possible to balance both in the same way, but I do think it would be cool. And even if not, I like the idea of giving people who are getting into the game for the first time some way in.
Leaks be damned. If Zangief is in the game, walk up SPD on one button sounds terrifying.
It could be, but what if he just can't use his normals?
I would say, what if one of the L, M, or H's contains his best anti-air, and now all of a sudden he can't anti-air because his best anti-air button isn't part of the LMH?
Exactly.
There's so many ways you can go with that. Me personally, I'm a fan of how Grand Blue handled
of course.
easy inputs. I think they nailed it on the head that everybody can do them. There's just a cooldown, blah, 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 yada, yada. But I like David said, I hope that both control schemes can be competitive. You're worried about one button SPD. I'm worried about charge characters. What if Guile can walk forward flash kick? That's a problem. And if we believe leaks, he's probably in the game. So I'm really curious how they go about charge. Are there not any charge characters in the game? Do they fundamentally change how Guile plays? How does this work?
That doesn't seem likely.
But that's what I'm saying, though. So how does this work? No charge flash kick seems like a problem, right?
Could be.
So I'm really curious how they balance this.
It also might be the case that you don't have access to all of your special moves, even. Although I guess Giles only got 2, so probably not an issue for him.
Yeah, it's not much of a problem for him.
I always just feel like, one, I still think that there should be an option to turn on the charge meter on your screen so you can see how much you've charged for newcomers. But
that gives away how much you charge too. That's another problem.
Right. It's true. But I mean, maybe just on your view for your own character and not in versus mode or something. But for online purposes. But also maybe they make it so that Sonic Boom or Flash Kick, because you have to hold the button for a certain amount of time and then it finally something.
That's true. They could do that.
They could find ways to do that.
I guess we'll see. But I thought that was interesting. Another thing to point out here, although this is not strictly gameplay, is that there is real-time commentary in the actual video game. They actually got Vicious and Aru to do
Jeremy.
in-game commentary.
Dude.
Oh man, that was the coolest news I've heard in so long.
I was bawling. I was crying so hard.
I was so happy. Dude, Jeremy,
what a cool moment, dude.
He's come so far as a commentator, and they definitely hinted that more commentators are coming in here. My prediction, honestly, is Tasty Steve, because SFL, right? I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right? Make sense. So, I feel like that's kind of thing, but it would be sick if the another Japanese commentator was like Nuki or something like that.
That would be
really,
great.
really
I would
want to hear
really
Nuki just screaming the whole time.
I want other languages. I want Ken Bogard in French. I want Spanish. I think that would be super sick too. Even more than having other English language or Japanese language commentators. I'd really like to spread it around more.
One of the things that was interesting though is during the clip that they were showing, the stuff that Jeremy was saying that they show in the clip, he was just kind of talking about the neutral. You know what I mean? So it wasn't just oh my God, he did this. Oh my God, did you see that attack? Kind of thing. It's it felt like
they try to make it somewhat realistic.
Yeah, and if it's educational, I think that would be awesome. If it talks about stuff like that.
I want to see it in person before I make judgment on that.
Of course.
It could have been edited just so it looked like that, and he really just said random shit the whole time.
Brain is going too far, but what if you block a bunch of jump attacks and it's he's got to start anti-airing,
I mean, that is possible if you look at other games that have in-game. This is not the first video game that's had in-game commentators,
of course.
Commentators. If you look at what some of the other ones do, they actually have gotten really complicated and detailed in some cases.
And
so
again,
I guess that's possible.
I know a lot of people hit both of us up, can't wait for the UltraChen DLC, stuff like that. I mean, someone mentioned it. The is it gonna kill? If I could get is
cool.
it gonna kill into an official Street Fighter game, like I don't even know how. Like I would probably be bawling. You know, like if like the first time hearing that, playing the game and hearing myself yell something like that, I don't even know how I would react to that.
I have a
honestly.
strong feeling it'll probably happen, James. I have a strong feeling.
You think so?
I think both of you are probably going to get your own packs. I hope you do at least.
Hey, look, man.
I hope you do. You deserve it. I'll put it that way.
Someone
If I
joked
was
that.
in it, I wouldn't be able to tell you. And if I'm not in it, then when I say that I'm not in it, you would just think, oh, they probably don't want you to be able to tell anybody. So,
I mean,
what am I
like
gonna
real
do?
talk. I'd rather it be a surprise, anyways.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Dude, someone
Whatever.
on Twitter joked that I should yell, "Is it gonna kill?" every time someone does a super, no matter how much life they have. Oh man.
Anyway, yeah, big congrats to Jeremy. He said that as well, that the
Yeah.
sessions of doing it, of having somebody who's directing him doing it, was actually really helpful for his just regular
dang.
commentary, like to learn how to use his voice even better than he already does. So I thought that was really cool as well.
Okay.
Um,
Now I'm even more jealous, dude. Shoot, like I want that kind of help.
So there's the versus mode, which is called Fighting Grounds, but then there's also the Battle Hub, where presumably it's like CFN in some fancier type of way, where I don't know, to speculate, you can see your matches, you can see other people's matches, you can do other stuff there. And then there's also World Tour mode, which looks like it's like a big single player open world almost situation.
Thank God.
GTA Street Fighter.
Dude, from what I've seen, like Street Fighter 5 launch and Street Fighter 6 launch, like if they put in all these modes, knock on wood, I am.
yeah, be careful, James.
Yeah, I mean it could be
Don't
garbage,
jinx
right?
them, man. Don't jinx them, please.
Yeah.
It looks real good so far. Don't
But I mean, if what we've seen so far, I mean, they just revealed. Apparently, this was in Soul Calibur 2, so it was my mistake that they hadn't done this. That I thought people hadn't done this before. But in the versus screen, you could change their faces and stuff like that, and just little things like that. I just it feels like they sat down in a room and were like, what can we do to improve this experience? And again, look, the way that they've done, once they changed over to doing those winter updates and all those updates with Matsumoto and Nakayama-san, I just feel like I don't know, obviously everyone's going, you work for them, James, whatever, blah, but I have so much faith in what Matsumoto and Nakayama-san are doing. It's honestly, genuinely, I love what they've done with the tail end of Street Fighter 5 and what I've seen for 6 so far. Genuinely, no bias here. I think it's really cool.
I'm with you, man. I really like SF5 right now, and I'm really loving all the things that I've seen out of SF6 so far. There's going to be more info, probably, not guaranteed, probably, on the Capcom showcase on June 13th at 3 p.m. This is something that they announced
I would imagine they'll show some.
a couple days ago. Yeah, they don't explicitly say that there's going to be Street Fighter stuff in here, and it's a
probably
Capcom
gonna
showcase. There's probably other stuff too, but good bet that there's going to be at least some SF5 stuff. So again, that's June 13th at 3 p.m. Pacific time for around 35 minutes of news and in-depth update.
Everyone keeps talking about the net code. If that showcase has only 5 seconds of Street Fighter 6 and it says rollback net code Street Fighter 6 the end, I think that's it.
Hey, look, I'm not even worried about it. I'll be honest, man. I'm not even worried about the netcode. It's not a concern for me.
Right.
They did a good netcode with MVCI. It's extremely clear, given the release of Strive and KOF 15, that you need to have rollback. It's extremely obvious. Obviously, it should have been obvious before. But in the last year, it's been made extremely obvious. So if they don't do that, it's just a huge error that nobody will forgive them for. A lot of people have kind of moved through in SF5 knowing that the netcode is, to be fair, not as bad as we sometimes make it out to be, but not as good as some other games as well, for sure. And we know that, and probably a big part of why SF5 survives its launch, which was pretty rough, of course, was that it's Street Fighter. and it just got to move on.
Dude,
just on
That's
the
not going to
name.
work anymore.
It will not work again. It's not
nothing
twice in a
excess-
row. There are too many other good fighting
yeah.
games out for that to be the case at this point.
Dude, Nothing Excess says Chris Who for commentary. If he could explain stuff like the DHC glitch in game, dude, that would be amazing.
Do you understand? No, I don't understand.
Yeah, there's a lot of room, I think, for fun personalization, even in what we've seen so far. There's some hints that in
there's leak stuff I don't want to talk about, but yeah, there is stuff.
well, maybe that is what I was going to talk about. I guess.
Yeah,
I
don't
forgot if
talk
it was
about
in
the
leaks or
leaks.
not. Okay, all right. Well, fair enough. But we do at least know that you're going to be able to control your character's portrait on the versus screen, like you were talking about, and that means that there's going to be some personalization there. I am hoping that we'll be able to get like meme download packs. I just want the ability to make stupid meme faces that are famous on the internet with like Zangief or whatever character.
It doesn't
right?
matter. You're just gonna spin the controller, and your character's just gonna be going.
I will have my choice, and maybe I have like a speech prepared.
I will have my choice.
No, I'll main something. I think that would be great. Obviously, I don't know if this is going to happen, but that's something that I think is possible with that, and I hope that there will be other points of personalization as well in the game. Anything else to say about what we've seen so far? And that's not leaks.
I was gonna say, if you want to see leaks, go find them yourself. We're not talking.
Yeah,
about
they're out there, dude. Everyone is just tweeting about it at this point. I mean, it's almost kind of silly that we're not talking about it, but I'd rather be safe, to be honest.
Yeah,
with
you two should be safe. I can talk about them, but you guys should be. Yeah, don't talk about.
We should probably also mention the fact too that there was that tweet from the Evo staff saying that they've been working directly with like the Unreal Engine and all this stuff like that. So hopefully Street Fighter 6 across all platforms, because like Arturo, who's been championing all this stuff, has like, if they just fix it on consoles, I don't care anymore. Like, like all of my work can go to waste because everyone is going to benefit from just having the input lag be as tight as possible on PCs and consoles. He's willing to throw all that away if the devs fix it. And if they can get that in Street Fighter 6, dude, bless the Evo staff for working with them. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it is super dope.
All right. Anything else to say on Street Fighter 6?
Nope. I think that's it.
Okay. Well, let's move on to the next one. The UltraChenTV
You're real excited there, David.
Yeah. Well, here's the announcement as we move on to the next one. We are going to be ending the regular traditional Tuesday show. That's a decision that we came to over the last week, and the last one will be next week on the 14th. The reason for this is that, most immediately maybe, the reason for this is that I'm taking a new job. I'm getting a new job. And that new job is going to have some restrictions on how I can kind of conduct myself in public. It's not like anything terrible or extremely overbearing, but I won't be able to talk about basically things that like are related to the company that I'm going to be working for, which is to say fighting games, rights holders, tournament organizers, and that's like the stuff that we talk about on the Tuesday show, more or less. So I won't be able to talk about them in the same way, and that just means that it's not going to be the same show. Even if we were to continue doing something, it can't be the same show that it's been for so long. So that's the most immediate reason for this. Maybe a little bit down the ways reason for this, at least on my end, my part, is that I've been doing the same things for about 10 and a half years now. And that's how long the Tuesday show's been going on. We've been doing the Tuesday show about 48 to 50 weeks every single year for the last 10 and a half years.
11 and a half. 11 and a half.
There you go. Which means 500 plus shows that we've done. And that's been amazing. But at the same time, I'm kind of ready to move on and do different things. That's part of the reason that I'm taking this new job, is that I kind of feel like that. I don't feel like that about many things, to be honest. I'm actually lucky enough to feel like I really like where I am at in life in general. But yeah, I'm ready for a change, to be honest. So that's a really bittersweet feeling. I've obviously really loved doing the regular Tuesday show with you two guys, and that's been like a very like a regular thing for me. And back in the day when I was often depressed, the Tuesday show was something that would like keep me regular. Oh, it's another Tuesday show to like kind of snap out of it a little bit. So it's definitely played like
Dude.
a really positive role for me.
There's no, I always equate it to like gym buddies kind of thing. We would have never gone on this many years if like both of us weren't doing it, honestly.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. But I'm ready to move on. I'm very excited for the new thing that I'm going to be doing. Yeah, I mean, I see people in the chat who are not super thrilled about it, and I get it. I mean, that's if
no one's mad at you.
No, yeah. No, I get it. And I know that it's been a regular thing for a lot of people. I've talked with people about that, for years at this point, and I really appreciate that. That's amazing. And if there's anybody that I'm worried about, like it's not me personally. I'm feeling pretty good and excited.
Right.
But it's folks who have built this into their week maybe that I'm thinking more about.
Yeah.
So I hope you guys will understand, and I'm sure you'll find other things that you like. But to that end, although this is the regular Tuesday show coming to an end, like it's not necessarily the end of everything that we're doing entirely.
Yeah. So I mean, also, we talked about it a little last week too, that Tubo, you're taking a step back a little bit as well, right? So,
Yeah, it all kind of lined up in a weird way where I didn't tell David and James I was retiring from FGC stuff until the week I was doing it. And I've known David had been looking for a new job for, quite some time. And we had already talked about how it might affect the show in different ways or whatever.
Right.
But, he didn't tell us until Sunday Night at Combo Breaker that he had for sure gotten the job. And so this all just kind of lined up in a unfortunate way, or maybe a fortunate way. I don't necessarily know how to look at it. But yeah, with me stepping away and David not able to participate in the show the same way, it's kind of just how this all came together,
Now,
fell apart.
I will say this. So obviously we're going to probably do, a nice little closeout goodbye show next week.
Yeah.
Right. There may be tears. I don't know. We'll find out and such. But if you guys have like some of your favorite Tuesday show moments, let us know on Twitter and stuff, and we could reminisce.
Yeah, we're in the YouTube comments too.
But even the week after that, I will try to stream on UltraChenTV at the same time. I will try. Everything is open. Do I create a new Tuesday show? Do I bring in 2 new people to replace these guys and find 2 other people to do this? I don't know. If I do, is it the Tuesday show? Should I rename it to something else? Because it's just not the same anymore.
Your call, James.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of things out there that, there's a lot of possibilities out there. I've gone through ideas of, changing it to doing different things during the week, but kind of consistently cycling between different ideas, trying to do, maybe I do a solo Chen reaction for 2.5 hours where I can actually talk about how crappy 3D platforming it. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. We'll see.
That Keith.
I will definitely continue to see what we can do, but again, this isn't necessarily, and obviously David will still be commentating. He's not disappearing from the FGC. Neither is Tubo. He's still going to be competing and playing, but he's going to be mostly Rumbleverse guy.
Yeah, also Rumbleverse guy for sure. Lots of Rumbleverse. That's my shtick. That's my game now.
So again, we'll see. If you guys have any ideas on what you would like to see from me in the future, but like I said, I've already started reaching out to different people about different ideas and such. I mean, it's funny because, I think it was Ace King Offsuit even announced at Combo Breaker now that he's having a kid. Like, I think that even the Best of 5 show is, I don't know what's going to happen to the future of the Best of 5 show. So there's definitely a gap here that still needs to be filled, in terms of FGC news and talk shows and stuff. So, like I said, we only found out about this at Combo Breaker, which was a week and 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So I will be doing my best to come up with something, and we'll see what happens.
It's definitely a lot of changes, but I will still be, as James said, doing regular commentary. I don't expect a change in that. On commentary, I can sort of better manage what I say, and I'm not going to be
involved in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be I'm not going to be called upon to critique anything that's outside of the game, right? It's just a kind of different situation, and so the reasons that I'm leaving the Tuesday show aren't really relevant for that. So I love doing that. Not something that I ever want to stop. I still really enjoy it. I'll still be going to stuff. I already have plans to do some things, even just coming up soonish. So that's not changing. As far as the job that I'm taking, I'm still going to be lawyering. I'll be a lawyerin'. So that's and not even.
That's a great explanation why you can't critique.
I'll be lawyering, folks. Yeah,
Be a lawyering.
As far as exactly what that means, I'll talk more about it next week. But
okay.
yeah, I'll be lawyering, and I'll be doing it close to home, and with people who I really like, and I'm looking forward to working with. So I'm definitely excited for what we're going to be doing.
He's going to be doing crime, says Keits.
Just like any lawyer. Yeah, I'll be doing big crime.
Big crime.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Thanks. I appreciate the congrats, folks. Again, I know it's a big change. It's pretty sudden,
Dude,
I'm sure.
I mean, we'll talk about this next week, but 11 and a half. If you told me when we started, and we'll talk about more of like even where the Tuesday show came from next week and stuff, because I kind of want to go over a little bit of the history and stuff like that.
We should do all that stuff.
Yeah,
That
but
nice.
like if you told me that we would have ended up doing this for 11 and a half years, holy crap. There's no way I would have believed you. No way.
I'm not aware of any other video game or esports show having lasted as long and at least having done it like every single week. Again, like 48 to 50-ish weeks per year for as long as we've done it. I'm pretty proud of that. I think that's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that a lot.
Not bad. Not a bad run.
Not a bad run.
But
Yeah,
as I
the first episode we ever did, maybe we'll take a look at that because that was
Oh God.
not good.
Oh God.
Not good.
But yeah, no, I again, like I said, it's not over. We'll see what happens. I will continue to stream at this time, even if it's just me playing KOF or Street Fighter online, after next week. And I will be, like I said, I'm contacting people. Hey, if you are a figurehead in the FGC and you might want your shot on the Tuesday show, I'll be reaching out to people. So for sure.
Cool.
Well, we did it.
We did do it.
We did it.
Keits, honestly, after this conversation, I feel like I really do need to try Rumbleverse.
If you don't try the damn game on Saturday, James, we're gonna have problems. You have a whole 24 hours.
We'll see.
Whole 24 hours. Whole 24 hours.
Yeah, like I said, don't worry, guys. We will definitely. Well, at least, like I said, I will definitely try to keep some things going and have some talk time on the Tuesdays at this time on UltraChenTV on this channel for sure. So,
By the way, I'm still planning to stream occasionally. I don't see myself like not wanting to do that at all. Just not in as regular.
I'll be streaming so much once Rumbleverse comes out. You won't be able to get rid of me.
You are gonna be on
It's
the
gonna be
grind.
ridiculous. Yeah.
yeah. And you know what? Honestly, there will probably, even if I do start doing something separately, I will definitely be bringing these two guys back every once in a while, if we can.
Dude,
So
Please. We would love to help you out in whatever way we could. I do think that's a really cool idea, actually. Lotas says, make an email where we can write to you guys about the show and your past with it. I would really like to see that, even if it's
Yeah,
not
we can make
something
a
that we
Proton
do.
mail and just throw it out there.
I mean, you could just. Do you mind just us giving out the email that we use? Like, it's not
The
anything that's secret.
Well, I guess. It's up to you. I don't have control of that inbox. Matter of fact, yeah, sure, give it away. I don't give a shit. what do I care?
I mean, are you
Just
cool
make
with it,
a
James?
Proton mail.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, sure. Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. Just send an email to ultrachentv@gmail.com. What a secret
Dude,
email.
when we
you couldn't have figured it out.
Dude,
But
when we
send
used
us
to
email.
do
We'd love to hear
mailbag,
you.
When we used to do mailbag, we told everybody email ultrachentv@gmail.com. It was never a secret. So
yeah, I don't really know why we treated it as a secret temporarily.
That's why I was confused by the whole thing.
I don't know.
So
Brock was in my mind about it. I don't know, man.
Listen, man, I don't know what you guys give out. Like I said, it's not my email address.
Anyway, secret info, secret email address, ultrachentv@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. You know, whether the Tuesday show had any impact on you. That would be just, I don't know, very heartwarming.
Here's your reminder to check the spam inbox for when we look at stories, because some stuff is definitely going to come in as spam.
You got it.
Cool.
All right. Well,
unfortunately, sorry guys to kind of be the bearer of bad news, but it is very bittersweet. Like I said, a lot of people here, I mean, everybody here trying to go on and do some bigger, cooler things, out there and continuing to do what we love. That's the important thing, right? So that's the most important thing.
There you go. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us for tonight. Thanks again to Keits for coming on and talking with us for a while.
Yeah, man, for sure. What about Manscaped? Oh, yeah. Go to Manscaped. They're not going to honor our deal anymore because we're definitely not. So
I don't know,
maybe it doesn't matter.
I totally forgot about that until like literally when you mentioned it earlier.
I knew you did. That's why I did it, because it would be funny.
It was funny. So I'm just going to send them an email and be like,
hey,
sorry, guys.
Our bad.
Our bad.
Something happened.
But thanks for the free stuff. That was fun.
Yeah. Oh, man.
All right. Well, thanks a lot.
Yep. Take care, guys. And again, we'll have one more episode next week. So tune in, and hopefully we'll be able to read a lot of the things that you guys sent us. There will definitely be lots of tears from that as well. And I kind of want to, it'll be fun to talk about, how much, like Keits in the chat, Wake Up SRK was kind of the genesis of the show as well and stuff. So
definitely.
There'll be a lot of fun things.
A few times.
Yeah. All right, then.
Thanks for the sub, King Wiley. Thanks a lot, everybody. You want to bird them?
Oh, yeah, that's right. The bird.
Bird them.
We have to make sure.
We only got 2 birds left.
Oh, man. There we go.
Hey, you got it, Steve.